Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the jail arraignment for State Court of Clayton County. I'm Judge Tammy Long Hayward, and this is December 10th, 2024. I'm going to call the calendar. So we have an arraignment calendar and we have a jail calendar. I generally call the arraignment calendar first. I'll do that today. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are here for the calendar, then if you have an attorney, your attorney will speak on your behalf. If you do not have an attorney but wish to have one, please ask me at the time that your name is called. All right. First person on the calendar is LaFay Brown. This is Attorney Lynch's case from the Lister Holton Dennis. LaFay Brown.
Is Ms. Brown here?
LaFay Brown. Last call.
Bench warrant, Your Honor, and the bond forfeiture.
Last call for LaFay Brown. Bench warrant, bond forfeiture.
Thank you.
Next on the calendar is William Crothers. William Crothers.
Yes, Your Honor, he's present in the courtroom. Or do you want him to come up yet, or just go through the calendar?
He can come up. Let's talk about whether he needs counsel or whether he's ready to resolve his case.
Yes, Your Honor. So just look.
Mr. Crothers? Mr. Crothers?
Yes.
Hi, good morning. So you're charged with speeding 31 to 34 miles per hour over the limit. Did you wish to have an attorney represent you, or did you wish to represent yourself?
I represent myself.
Okay, you're over age 21, I'm going to presume. All righty. Sir, the state is going to speak with you about, or is going to tell us about what they recommend in this case. And then if you have a recommendation or suggestion, or if you can tell us that something that you've done to mitigate these charges, you can tell us at that time. Ms. Hagler?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. The safe offer is a fine of $300. The defendant was going 97 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone.
All right. So, Mr. Crothers, it would be a $300 fine. That with the total would be $444. I could give you up to 60 days to pay that. If you needed additional time, we have a payment plan under probation. Is he NOLO eligible, Ms. Hagler?
Your Honor, 1 second, please. I believe it's his only offense. So, 1 second. Yes, ma'am. He is. Yes, ma'am.
Brothers, if you want to use your NOLO plea, that may assist you with the Department of Driver Services to keep you from getting a huge amount of points for this offense and possibly a super speeder. Did you wish to enter a plea of NOLO?
Yes.
All right. Raise your right hand for me. I think it's your other hand.
You want my left hand?
No, your right hand.
My right hand up. She said the other hand.
That is your left hand.
Oh.
That's okay. You had me confused for a minute. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down, sir. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus William Crothers. Am I saying your name properly, sir?
Yes, you are.
Okay. 2022 CR 07128, speeding 31 to 34 miles per hour. Mr. Crothers is entering a plea of NOLO. Sir, by entering a plea of NOLO, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively affect your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please. Oh, well, the recommendation is the $300 fine. Factual basis, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about September the 9th of 2022, Officer Anthony Tigner did issue the defendant a traffic citation for speeding. Officer Tigner used his LiDAR in clocking the defendant's speed at 97 miles per hour in a 65 miles per hour zone. The defendant was traveling on South I-75 Expressway and East I-285 ramp, Clayton County, Georgia. Your Honor, those are the facts of the case.
All right. So, Mr. Crothers, do you wish to pay today or have additional time?
Have additional time?
All right, 60 days, would that be sufficient?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to go downstairs to the second floor. So right below us, when you come back through the double doors into the hallway, you're going to go to your left. There'll be a traffic court window. They'll give you your paperwork. It'll have the exact date on which you need to pay. They can explain paying by phone or by online, or if you wish to come in and make partial payments, you can do that also. So they will explain all of the payment methods to you if you need that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Slow down for me, sir.
But I didn't even know he was coming for me because he pulled in front of me. I pulled over, he pulled in front of me. So I didn't know he was coming for me until he pulled up and he said,
I got you.
all right.
Take care, sir. Have a great holiday. Right. All right. Next on the calendar is Alayia Grisham. Alayia Grisham. This is Lister Holton Dennis.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Grisham's present in the courtroom.
Hi, Ms. Grisham.
Hi, how are you?
Ms. Grisham, Mr. Lynch, actually, I believe, was discussing the case with Attorney Hagler. I don't know the details of that currently.
Is he not here today?
He is handling the pretrial intervention orientation, and we expected that to be finished by now, but he's to come to the courtroom as soon as he's completed that.
Okay, Ms. Grisham, your attorney's downstairs helping do an orientation. He should be back in a little bit because I think it started earlier than this court. So if you just have a seat in the courtroom for me, when he comes in, we're gonna, wherever we are in the process, we'll take you at next, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Have a seat. Princess Alayia McCrae. Princess Alayia McCrae.
The statement moved for a bench warrant bond forfeiture. The defendant isn't present.
Not seeing anybody see her on the video screen? Okay. At this time, the court is going to interrupt bench warrant bond forfeiture for Princess Alayia McCrae.
Your Honor, just for clarification, she's already wanted.
Oh, okay. All righty then. She's doubling down. Bless her heart. Jose Luis Rodriguez, Mr. Handelsman.
I'm here, Judge. I cannot see if Mr. Rodriguez is online. Last time he was.
I believe he is. I think I see him, sir.
Okay.
If you would be kind enough to call sound for Mr. Rodriguez, please.
We will enter a plea today, Judge.
Okay. I see him. All right. So, Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Tolles, can you hear?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. So, Mr. Rodriguez, the court, your attorney has indicated you're entering a plea today.
Señor Rodríguez, su abogado ha indicado que usted quiere declararse a los cargos hoy día. ¿Así es?
Sí.
Yes.
Ms. Hagler, are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
¿Está listo? Sí, su señoría.
Handelsman, are you ready?
Licenciado Handelsman, ¿está listo?
Yes.
Sí.
Mr. Rodriguez, please raise your right hand for me.
Señor Rodríguez, por favor, levanta la mano derecha.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give will be true?
Jura o afirma solemnemente que la declaración que va a prestar aquí será verdadera.
Sí.
Yes.
You can put your hand down, sir.
Gracias, señor. Puede bajar la mano.
All right. Mr. Handelsman, what does your client plead to the offenses of DUI less safe count 1, driving under the influence count 2, and improper lane change count 3?
Licenciada Henderson, ¿cómo se declara su cliente ante los cargos de manejar bajo el efecto de alcohol, conductor arriesgado, manejar bajo los efectos de alcohol, alcoholemia y cambiarse de carril inapropiadamente?
He's entering a plea to count 2, Judge.
All right.
Él se va a declarar al cargo 2, su señoría. Está bien.
By entering a plea of guilty to count 2, Mr. Rodriguez, counts 1 and 3, count 1 will merge, count 3 will be no prost.
Señor Rodríguez, al declararse al cargo 2, el cargo 1 se va a unir al cargo 2 y el cargo 3 se va a desestimar.
You give up the right to have trial by jury or judge.
Usted está renunciando derecho a tener un juicio por jurado o por juez.
You give up the right to have the state prove your case against you beyond a reasonable doubt.
Renuncia al derecho a obligar al Estado a probar el caso en contra de usted fuera de una duda razonable.
You give up the right to be presumed innocent.
Renuncia al derecho a ser presunto inocente.
You give up the right to present evidence and testimony on your behalf and to not incriminate yourself.
Renuncia al derecho a presentar pruebas y testimonio en nombre suyo y el derecho en contra de la autoincriminación.
And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status.
Y si no tuviera la ciudadanía estadounidense, declararse culpable o declararse nulo podría afectar de manera negativa su estatus inmigratorio.
Do you understand all of these things, sir?
¿Entiende todas esas cosas, señor?
Sí.
Yes.
All right. Factual basis and recommendation interpreter speed, please.
Muy
Yes,
bien,
Your
¿cuáles son
Honor.
los hechos que fundamentan el caso y la recomendación? Sí, su señoría.
On or about October the 4th of 2020,
Alrededor de la fecha 4 de octubre de 2020,
Officer K as in Kite, M as in Mary Wilkerson
el
responded to
agente... Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
responded to a 3-vehicle motor vehicle crash on Interstate 675 South near mile marker 7, Clayton County, Georgia.
En o alrededor de la fecha 4 de octubre de 2020, el agente KM, I'm sorry, Madam Solicitor, what was the officer's last name? It was KM?
Wilkerson.
Thank you, I'm so sorry. El agente K de kilo, M de María, apellido Wilkerson, acudió a un choque automovilístico de 3 autos sobre las carreteras 678 rumbo al sur, cerca de la milla 7 en el condado de Clayton.
During Officer Wilkerson's on-scene investigation, it was determined that the defendant was the at-fault driver.
Durante la investigación que se llevó a cabo en el lugar de los hechos, se determinó que el señor acusado fue el conductor que tenía la culpa.
As the defendant was traveling south in the right-hand lane of I-675 South, he struck 2 vehicles located on the right shoulder.
De modo que el señor acusado iba viajando rumbo al sur en el carril derecho sobre la carretera 675 al sur, se chocó con 2 vehículos que estaban en la orilla de la calle.
One of those vehicles was a marked police vehicle with its emergency red and blue lights illuminated.
Uno de esos vehículos era una patrulla con insignia policial con las luces rojas y azules activadas.
During Officer Wilkerson's investigation, it was determined that the defendant was driving while under the influence of alcohol.
Durante la investigación del agente Wilkerson se determinó que el señor acusado iba manejando estando embriagado.
The defendant displayed watery eyes, and there was a alcoholic beverage coming from his breath as he spoke to the defendant.
El señor acusado se presentó con los ojos lagrimosos y un olor a una bebida alcohólica se despidió de su aliento mientras hablaba.
Officer Wilkerson conducted standardized field sobriety testing in which the defendant scored 6 of 6 on the HGN and 4 of 8 on the walk and turn.
El agente Wilkerson le puso al señor acusado a hacer pruebas de sobriedad en el SAR, ejercicios de sobriedad en el lugar de los hechos, perdón, y tuvo un puntaje de 6, de un total de 6 en la prueba HGN y un puntaje de 4 de 8 en la prueba de caminar y viral.
The defendant agreed to provide a sample of his blood, and the results are 0.143.
El señor acusado aceptó dar una muestra de sangre y en la prueba salió con un nivel de alcoholemia de 0.143.
Your Honor, those are the facts of the case. For count 1, that count will merge into count 2. For count 2, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve, 2 days, community time served, balance probated, a fine of $500, 40 hours of community service. The defendant is to complete the substance abuse evaluation treatment and to follow our recommendations. No drugs or alcohol. And random alcohol testing and screens.
Esos son los hechos que fundamentan el caso, su señoría. En cuanto a la recomendación, el cargo 1 se va a unir al cargo 2. En cuanto al cargo 2, la pena recomendada será 12 meses para cumplir 2 días, acreditándole el tiempo que ya cumplió, el saldo en libertad condicional, una multa de $500, 40 horas de servicio comunitario, someterse a la evaluación para detectar problemas de consumo de alcohol y droga y seguir cualquier tratamiento que ellos recomiendan. Nada de consumo de alcohol y droga y someterse a pruebas de alcoholismo y droga dependencia al azar.
And to complete the, yes, I want to say that, Your Honor, I'm sorry. And to complete the DUI alcohol reduction program.
Y también para completar el programa de la escuela de DUI en la clase de reducción de riesgos.
Mr. Handelsman, anything on behalf of your client?
I believe that we stipulate to the facts as stated by the solicitor, and we ask the court to accept the plea. As stated, we will ask for a certificate of first conviction, and also I will also ask the court for the probation to be non-reporting upon completion of all the conditions.
¿Hay algo que usted quisiera decir, licenciado Handelsman? Sí, su señoría, mi cliente estipula los hechos de la manera que los leyó la señora fiscal y él quisiera aceptar la declaración a cargos negociado. También estamos pidiendo un certificado de la primera condena y estamos pidiendo, por favor, que su probation se vuelva inactivo una vez que haya completado todos los requisitos.
You can get the certificate of first conviction from the clerk's office. That's fine. And I don't ever shorten DUI sentences. So it is what it is.
Sí, puede conseguir el certificado de la primera condena de la oficina del actuario del tribunal, eso está bien. Y yo no tiendo a cortar, a hacer más breve las condenas cuando se trata de casos de DUI, así que es lo que es.
That means he will have to report every month for 12 months.
Yes, sir.
¿Eso significa que va a tener que presentarse todos los meses durante los 12 meses? Sí, señor.
Driving under the influence is a choice, and I understand it happened a while ago, but it's still a choice he made. And I feel like DUI is only deterred by people feeling uncomfortable by their decision.
Manejar bajo los efectos de alcohol es una decisión. Yo sé que eso es algo que sucedió hace rato, pero aún así sucedió. Y yo creo que las personas que tienen casos de DUI solamente cambian cuando sienten la presión de la necesidad de cambiar.
Judge, if you give me a minute to talk to my client and explain that to him, I believe that he will accept and we can finalize the plea.
Sure, I'm going to put you in a breakout room.
Quiero hablar con mi cliente para explicarle eso y luego podemos finalizar.
You speak Spanish, right, Mr. Handelsman?
I do.
Okay. All right. Hold on a second. All right, you all should have the invitation.
Thank you.
All right. Does anyone know of anyone on the jail calendar who might need Ms. Tolz's assistance? Because once she finishes here, it's my intention to release her so she can assist some other judge.
One moment, Your Honor, I'm checking.
Yeah, me too.
There is a
Pedro Pelas.
There's an arrest order for him. I don't know if he's in custody. Vice President, do you need an interpreter? Okay. And
but I have that it's a closed case for a traffic violation.
yes, Your Honor, and he had some question about that. I spoke with him earlier, something about a bench warrant, and he got a notice to appear to court. So
can you bring him out?
He's not in custody, Vice President. Come on now.
Oh, he's here in court?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, can we check and see if Mr. Pelas has a bench warrant or anything that would be a detainer?
I have
Wait just a moment. Yeah.
What happened, Mr. Pelas?
no, I was arrested on November 30th for a bench warrant.
You took care of your case then?
Yes.
Yeah, then it should be closed today, but we will check and make sure. I think what happened was this was an old ticket, and when you missed court, the arrest warrant was issued. But once you took care of it, it should clear out everything in the system, but I'm having them check for me.
It appears there was a suspended sentence, Your Honor. Arrest order based upon that suspended sentence, but he has since
he paid
full amount $202, which included the fine and fees.
Yeah, okay, then if he paid, he should be done.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not hearing that there's anything in the system for him. So, but if you're unsure before you leave, Mr. Pelas, you can go down to the first floor clerk's office. And they will, no, actually, you can even go to the second floor at the traffic court window, and they will check and make sure everything is closed out and you don't have anything pending, okay?
Yeah, I went there earlier this morning. They told me that I had court in room 304.
Okay, well,
Your Honor, he did pay. It says total paid, nothing is due.
Okay, well, then you're free to go. You have attended court. This is totally over now.
Short gray hair, blonde hair. Handelsman, I think it's George.
So, yeah, they don't have anything else for you. I'm not sure why you were given this court date. I think what they assumed was you would still be in jail. And this would have been the next court date coming up.
Yes, he had a SSD that wasn't paid. It looked like he did pay it, and that's why he got released. So he's closed pretty much.
Yeah, Mr. Pelas. So the SSD, like if you have a fine amount that doesn't get paid, so you have an opportunity to come in on what's called an SSD calendar. If you don't come in on that SSD calendar, then an arrest warrant will issue. Once you're arrested, if you pay to get out before you see the judge, then you've closed your case, and so you get released for that. The next day that you would have seen a judge is today, so that's why you have this court date.
Okay.
All right, but you're free to go. You have appeared, so nothing will issue from this point.
All right. Do I get any paperwork stating that the case is closed?
That the case is closed. Yeah, you can go to the traffic court window and they'll print it all out for you.
Okay.
Second floor, traffic court window. Just tell them that you wish to have the your paid in full, wherever it says that you paid in full or completed, or your sentence sheet. Just have them print that out for you. But I do, just as a reminder, and I tell people this all the time, when you have couple of things. If you get a ticket, always make sure before you leave the side of the road where you've been pulled over, take a picture of it, put it in your phone, and calendar the date of court. That way you will never miss your court date. The second thing is once you get a fine, and if you're given time to pay it, calendar that date in your phone, put a reminder so you don't miss paying it, because if you don't pay it, that's a suspended sentence. And if you don't fulfill the sentence, then you'll be arrested.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right, but you're good now. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, I have an announcement.
All right.
Miss Princess McCrae has shown up in the courtroom. She appeared shortly after you called her name from the calendar.
Okay. She's Mr. Lynch's client or yours?
Neither, Your Honor. She's pro se.
All right, Miss McCrae, come on up.
Just look into the camera. This will go in.
All right, Miss McCrae, what took you so long to get to court, ma'am?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
What took you so long to get to court?
The court date for November 7th, I guess all my paperwork was going to a house that I no longer stay at. And I check in, you know, it's been 2 years since this happened. I've been checking in with my bonding company, and they get irritated with me calling them. I call them, I check in every 2 weeks, and I never received this information, or I would have been here November 7th.
Okay. So is there a bench warrant for Miss McCrae?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. Ms. McCrae, you are charged with marijuana 1 ounce or less and speeding. Did you wish to resolve your case yourself, or did you wish to have an attorney represent you?
I'm resolving myself.
Okay, how are you over 21?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Ms. Hagler, can you give a recommendation for what the state would like in this case?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation. For counts 1 and 2, the state would be not processing counts 1 and 2, and then for count 3, it will be a fine of $300, as the defendant was going 92 miles per hour in a 65 mile per hour zone.
Ooh. Was she driving an ambulance?
It was not, Your Honor.
Did she have a NOLO available to her?
One second. It appears that she does. She does, Your Honor.
She does not?
She does. She does.
Okay. So, Ms. McCrae, let me explain to you. A NOLO plea would help you avoid points on your license or a possible suspension of your license if you have more points than the limit. So if you wish to use a NOLO plea, that would help you with the Department of Driver Services. And this was like a year or two ago, but I just don't understand where y'all was speeding off to, especially with alleged substances in the vehicle that could alter your reaction times and speeds. Did you wish to enter a plea of NOLO to this offense? The fine is $300. It would be $444 with the surcharges. I could give you up to 60 days to pay. And if you needed a longer time, I have a probation option.
I can do the payment within 60 days.
You can?
Yeah.
And you wish to enter the NOLO plea?
Yes.
Did you understand that, or do you have questions? Because ask questions. If you look confused, then you probably are confused, and that's okay. Because if you have a question, probably a ton of people listening have questions. So the NOLO plea, it means that you're not contesting the information that the state has against you, and you would be able to avoid any points on your license because the Department of Driver Services would not assess points. It's not a guilty plea. You're not stating that you're guilty. You're stating that you do not wish to contest the evidence that the state has. Now, a guilty plea, points would come with that, and I'm not sure how many points you have on your license. A NOLO plea can only be used once every 5 years for the same or similar offense. So if you have a speeding offense, this is your one shot to get out of the points for the next 5 years.
Okay, I'll accept that NOLO.
Okay. All right, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm asking you a question. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that any testimony you give in this matter will be true? Are you going to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, put your hand down. You're good. All right. So, Ms. McCrae, by entering a plea of NOLO, you give up the right to go to trial. You give up the right to have the state prove the case against you. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to present evidence and testimony, to not incriminate yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or NOLO could negatively affect your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes.
All right. All right. Factual basis, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about October the 20th of 2021, Officer Anthony Tigner responded to the incident location, which was I-675 South and Highway 42, Rex, Georgia, 30273, Clayton County, Georgia, to assist Sergeant Lowe, who had stopped the defendant vehicle as she exceeded the speed limit. She was going 92 miles per hour in a 65 miles per hour zone. Officer Tigner was able to smell an odor of marijuana coming from the vehicle. At that time, he asked the defendant and her passenger to exit the vehicle. Officer Tigner could also smell the odor of marijuana coming from the defendant's person. Eventually, the defendant admitted to the officers that she placed marijuana inside of her pants. A female officer was requested, and Officer McCall responded to conduct a search of the defendant's person for marijuana. Officer McCall did retrieve pieces of green leafy substance in the yellow wrap. The defendant at that time was arrested. Your Honor, the states for count one, no pause, and for count two, a fine of $300. And the defendant is no longer eligible.
All right, so count two will be no pause. Count three is a $300 fine, 60 days to pay. So, Ms. McCrae, to close this out, I'm going to need a bench warrant set aside also, just in case it doesn't close out in the computer.
That's all.
All right. And Ms. McCrae, I'm gonna need you, when you leave the courtroom, to go downstairs to the second floor, so right below us. When you come through the double doors, you're gonna go to your left. You're gonna go to the traffic court window. They're gonna print out your sentence sheet. Just tell them your last name. You're gonna print out your sentence sheet. It's gonna have the date that you have to pay by. You can make payments up until that point, but by that last date, everything has to be paid, okay? And they can explain paying online or by phone if you want to do that, okay?
Okay.
Did you have any questions for me?
No.
You sure? Nothing is a stupid question, Ms. McCrae. As long as you understand what's going on and we get everything settled, there's no stupid questions. So if you have a question, go ahead and ask me.
Okay, after I pay my fee, everything is.
It will be closed. Yes, ma'am. You want to pay it on or before the 60th day. So you don't want to waste time. If you want to pay, make partial payments, you can come up here to the courthouse and pay at that window anytime you feel like it. But it all has to be paid on the 60th day. And remember, I told you there are surcharges. So it'll be $444 total.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
All right. And ma'am, slow down.
No,
If you have ever seen a crash at that speed, you'd be scared to see it. Slow down, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. McCrae. Second floor for me.
Okay.
All right, take care. All right, Mr. Lynch.
Judge, you can see me up.
How you doing, sir? I'm down there helping and with the orientations and stuff. Look at you. Miss Grisham is here, and I told her to just wait for you. Brown did not appear, and
I believe Ms. Brown resolved her case through a plea in here a couple weeks ago. I didn't see that reflected on the calendar. However, I brought her in and she entered a plea. Remember, we had a back and forth about whether it was going to be a guilty plea or a no-low plea, and she pled guilty and got credit for time served. And Ms. Hayes looking at me like you don't remember that, but we were all here.
I kind of remember, but we do that so often.
Yeah.
Miss Wright, if you could look and see if Miss LaFay Brown, 2024 CR 08534, because that's one of our newer cases.
Yes. Remember, she came in and there was some discussion because I had walked her in that maybe she needed to go on a later calendar. However,
yeah, I think I remember her, but like I said, it's I don't want to misspeak, and it's actually somebody else that I'm thinking about.
Yes, ma'am. It was criminal trespass at the airport. She was yeah.
All right, so Mr. Handelsman, are we ready to go forward? We're ready to finish up Mr. Rodriguez's plea?
Judge, that case does not have a disposition.
Yeah, I don't have that, Mr. Lynch.
Well, Judge, that's...
Are you sure we didn't just bring her in to get rid of a bench warrant or to say we were going to put her on another calendar?
No, Judge, she was sentenced before Your Honor. She came in. It was.
Do we know the date?
Yeah, I can find the date because yeah, let me.
And normally at the end of the calendar too, the clerks normally give a disposition paperwork. So do you have a copy of that? Because if you don't, then that means it didn't happen.
Ms. Hagler, I'm an officer of the court, and I take my
we're not saying
that you're not.
It didn't happen. I'm just saying it's not in the computer. I need a date.
And I don't dispute that, but for Ms. Hagler, and I understand maybe that comment wasn't.
She was just saying there should be paperwork. That's all. She wasn't coming at you.
Well, I mean, if she's going to suggest that I'm sitting up here and something didn't happen, saying it is, I have. But I understand.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking through my notes. If you can give me a date, I can tell you if it's on that date, if I did a plea.
Just give me one moment.
Okay. Miss Val? Miss Val?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't we have the Douglas County plea at 1 o'clock today?
Thought it was at 1 o'clock today. I haven't heard anything from the clerk. Remember, she said that it was going to be at 1. Is anyone on?
No, I'm just saying it's at 1. I got a dental appointment at 2, but we should be finished with that by 1:10, 1:15 if everybody shows up.
Yeah, I thought the Douglas County was at 1 o'clock today. I haven't received anything from their office, the clerks or anything. So she said that, remember, she said she mailing out the notice that day. Remember, she said that?
Yeah, and I remember talking to the gentleman from the defense and Miss Spanauer from the state. So I think everybody should be on there for the Douglas calendar today at 1. Once we do that, I think it'll be fine. I think I can record that.
Is that happening
Yes.
on your Zoom channel?
Ma'am?
Is that happening on your Zoom channel?
Yes, ma'am. So they should have the same sign in that they had before.
Yeah, Miss Martin is not gonna be able to be on. Miss Martin, you gonna be able to be on?
No, she doesn't have to. I can she can if she wants to, but I can record it. I know I didn't engage Miss Martin's services, and if she has something else, I don't want to press her, but because that's something that I can record, and if she needs to transcribe it later, we can do that.
Yes, I'm fine with either or.
It is one plea from that I took on recusal from Douglas County.
Yes, at 1 o'clock.
All right.
I haven't received anything, but I'm about to go confirm it with Connie.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe Mr. Lynch. Do we know if that plea or Miss Brown came in November? The last calendar we had in November for jail.
Was it a November plea? It was. I don't know if he walked in on a jail calendar or an arraignment calendar. Was it a November plea?
Are we asking about Miss Brown?
Yeah.
It was November 19th.
That's what I thought. Okay, I'm gonna go pull our calendar and see if we have notes.
I'll pull in mine.
And
Judge, we did take a plea on LaFay Brown on the November 19th.
Okay, well, this scares me because it's not in the system.
So, Judge, this is a concern that I have as well. Ms. Hagler made a comment that if there's no paperwork, it did not happen. But again, there's an email, I sent an email regarding a null pros where there was no null pros submitted. That did in fact happen, and there's no paperwork, and that is a big problem. And I just
yeah, because I see Miss Brown as an add-on on the November 9th. That's all I was saying was just give me some context and I can find it because I've been keeping notes in the same notebook. Yeah, it was 12 months probation, a fine in the amount of $300, 40 hours of community service. She's not to go back to the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. She took a plea to criminal trespass. And this was case 2024 CR 08534.
And Judge, I appreciate that. I believe though, and I don't know if we can go back to the record, I believe what actually happened was initially that was the offer. And I believe she actually was sentenced to credit for time served because that was the offer from the state, which I tried to enter a NOLO plea, but the state objected.
And I made the decision to do a credit for time served. Right.
Credit for time served, but you weren't going to accept a NOLO plea.
Right.
That's my record. That's my record.
I see it. I have that in red further down the page.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm sorry, could you give me that again so I can put it into the system and make sure that we have the paperwork to you guys?
It was guilty plea, but it was instead of that recommendation, I did credit for time served because she had served like 30 days, somewhere in the round of 30, maybe more than that. And then so I did credit for time served, and she's not to go back to Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport until she has a ticket for travel on that date.
Correct, Judge. Thank you.
And I'm not sure what happened there, Mr. Lynch, but yeah, that concerns me that we didn't get that recorded. I do know that she was an add-on on that date.
Thank you, Judge.
So, and y'all, everything is fixable. Everything everybody says is not aimed at you. It is really, we are trying to figure it out. And when I took this job, I said, mistakes will be made. I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. If we can figure it out and fix it, then that makes us all better. It is no big deal. It is a big deal to Miss Brown, don't get me wrong, but it is not a big deal between us trying to figure it out. Because sometimes, you know, I drop the ball. Sometimes everybody, like today, looking through these notes, reminded me that we have the 1 o'clock calendar from the other county. So, all right. We'll get Miss Brown's plea recorded, and then I'll sign that today. And then we'll give that paperwork will be available for you so you can make sure she has it if she needs it.
And I'll date that for the 19th of November.
So, I mean, but everybody drops the ball from time to time. It's not, nobody's perfect, but we try to be as good as we possibly can be. And then when we have to fix something, we do it with a smile. So we're good. Thank y'all. Nobody can tell me anything about Team Hayward. I'm just saying. All right, then. So now we've got Ms. Brown squared away. We'll get that sentence signed off on. And the last person, I believe, is Ms. Grisham, who's in the courtroom. And I guess you have to see her.
I do know a little bit about her case, and we've spoken. I was wondering if I could maybe have a breakout room with Ms. Hagler, or just to kind of discuss potential disposition of this.
Okay, and this is for Grisham.
Yes, Judge.
All right. So while y'all talk about Grisham, I'm still waiting to get Mr. I hope Mr. Handelsman and Mr. Rodriguez aren't stuck in the breakout room. Miss Tolles, I'm trying to get us finished. We were at the finish line, but they still in there. All right, breakout room number. Breakout room number 3. I'll put the courtroom and Miss Hagler.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Do you have an issue if I talk to her? Only us and one other person. Is that okay? Okay.
And you do have the offer already, correct?
I don't believe it may have been sent, but I don't have it in front of me. Did Miss Arnold send it yesterday?
I can confirm.
Because
1 second.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, and Mr. Carmichael will be with you in a moment. I'm just trying to get through this. The last case before you, Ms. Hagler's gone. So the last case was Jamaica Weeks. So we'll check on her when we get back, and then we'll go to the jail calendar.
Your Honor, excuse me.
Ms. Farley, yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but are you in the office today?
No, but Miss Kiera's there. But if you need me to sign something, I can. You can send it to me on my iPad.
It's not a signature. It's actually in regards to one of the defendants that's actually on probation now. I had a question in regards to him. I didn't know how to proceed.
Let's go to a breakout room. Hold on a second.
Okay.
I'm gonna put you in breakout room number 2. And once you go there, I'll join you.
So Judge, it appears that we are on for 1 p.m. She said all notices went out to all parties, so everyone should be present at 1.
Yeah, and I told them on the call the last time we were there. I told Miss Manhour and I told the gentleman.
Okay. So
Okay.
and you so you're gonna log on at 1. What time is dinner? What time is it? Okay. All right.
It's right down the street.
Okay.
Yeah.
And others, you know, email me or call me on Zoom if you need.
We're there in a breakout room.
Yeah.
Can you look up Tammy Jackson? It's a weird thing. She is. She said she's been in jail for 2 years. When I look up image search, I only find one Tammy Jackson or Addis Hall that has been in jail for 2 years.
What did you hear on that?
Criminal trespass, disorderly conduct, public indecency. Yeah, because it would have been in the last.
Okay.
All right, are we ready? Because we still have to do the jail calendar. I'm not sure what's going on with Mr. Handelsman and Mr. Rodriguez, but I'm on broadcast.
I could be wrong. And check on Mr. Bird.
Hello, are we ready to complete? Are we ready to complete the plea? Mr. Handelsman, Mr. Rodriguez?
Your Honor, are they still in the breakout room? Can they hear you?
Yeah, they now allow you to broadcast into the rooms.
Oh.
I guess for such emergencies like this, where they've kind of camped out in there. What's the Spanish word for ready, Ms. Tolles?
October 2023.
Ms. Tolles?
Listo.
Listo.
Yep. This is October 2023.
She's here on multiple.
Thank you. I sent a verbal message and a written message. We'll see how it goes. All right. For Miss Weeks, Jamaica Laquette Weeks. Jamaica Laquette Weeks. All right. Come on up, Miss Weeks. All right, Miss Weeks, you're charged with criminal trespass. Do you need an attorney to represent you, or did you wish to represent yourself?
I wish to represent myself.
Are you over 21?
Yes, ma'am, I'm 26.
Okay. All right, Miss Hager, does the state have a recommendation for Miss Weeks' case?
Yes, Your Honor. 12 months to serve, 2 days, community time served, balance probated, a fine of $300, 40 hours of community service, and the defendant is to not return and to stay away from the incident location, and then restitution to the victim.
And how much is the restitution request?
1 second, right? Let me see. Your Honor, at this time regarding restitution, I'll withdraw that one from the conditions.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Weeks, the state is asking the court to impose 12 months, 2 days, the credit for time served, so community time served, so you wouldn't have to do any jail time, but you would be on probation. The fine is $300, which will be $444 total with the surcharges, 40 hours of community service, and you're not to go back to the incident location. Did you wish to enter a plea?
Am I NOLO eligible?
Good question. Is she NOLO eligible?
I am checking right now, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Based off of what I have. Well, she has already used it in the past 5 years.
What's she use it for?
Failure to maintain lane.
For what?
Failure to maintain lane.
Oh, she can use it for this. This is a different offense.
Okay.
So yeah, ma'am, I'll accept the NOLO plea. Did you wish to take the plea?
Yes, ma'am. I'll do NOLO.
Raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court, Miss Jamaica Laquette Weeks, 2023 CR 05041 for criminal trespass. You're entering a plea of NOLO. You're representing yourself and you're over 21. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, factual basis and recommendation. I'm sorry, factual basis.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about August the 5th of 2022, Officer Cesar Garcia did respond to 495 AH Oglethorpe Square, Jonesboro, Georgia 30236, Clayton County, and regarding in reference to a suspicious person. Pursuant to the police report, the defendant did commit the act of criminal offense in that criminal trespass, in that she intentionally damaged a door frame, the property of Anthony Howard, without his consent by pushing her way inside the home of the victim. The defendant stated that she used her shoulder and pushed the door until she got inside. The damage is less than $500, and the defendant and the victim used to live together in the past. Those are the facts of the case, Your Honor.
All right. Miss Weeks, you don't have any reason to go back to that location, do you?
No, ma'am, I don't. I had a child by him and he hasn't been in my daughter's life at all. So no, I don't.
Okay. All right. Well, unfortunately, he's missing out and not being the father that he should be. But don't get yourself in a situation where you can be taken away from your child. I think you probably learned that through this process.
Yes, ma'am. When I was in jail, I didn't even get a mattress. I didn't get no sheets or no nothing when I got in there because I punished myself. I've been done with the situation. It's been 2 years. I'm just ready to move forward.
I got you. All right. So I'm going to accept your plea of NOLO. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 2 days credit for time served. Balance will be probated for you to pay a fine in the amount of $300. That'll be $444. You can pay it over the course of the probation. 40 hours of community service. And you're not to go back to the incident location, which you say won't be a problem. And then once you have completed the fines and community service, if you complete all of that before probation ends, then the probation will become non-reporting, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So the quicker you get everything done, the quicker that we can get everything, the quicker you get everything done, then you won't have to report to probation, okay?
That's fine.
All right, thank you, ma'am. So what I'm going to ask you to do is when you step out of the courtroom, you're going to go to your left. That's the courtroom 305. In that first set of double doors will be Miss James, who is the probation expert. She's going to do your intake. Ask any questions that you may have about probation. And just remember, the quickest way to get rearrested is to not do your reports. Even if you're falling behind on some of the conditions, make sure you do the reports, okay? All right. Thank you. When you leave the courtroom, just go to Miss James. Once you finish with Miss James, you don't have to come back in here.
Hey, Judge Hayward, Miss James left for today. She's not feeling well.
Hold
So
on.
she'll report down to 305 to see, I mean, to 303, I'm sorry, to see me.
Oh, okay. So, Ms. Farley, Ms. Farley's in 303. I'm sorry. And so Ms. James isn't here today. So you're gonna go to your right when you leave the courtroom. I'm sorry, to your left when you leave the courtroom. I should say right. To your left when you leave the courtroom, go down to 303 and Ms. Farley's in there. Thank you, Ms. Farley.
No problem.
All right. All right. So the arraignment calendar, if we could get Mr. Rodriguez and Mr. Handelsman out of the room, we could finish the arraignment calendar.
And then Grisham will be the last one, Your Honor. I believe Attorney Lynch, his client's talking to the recruiter regarding the case.
Yeah, Judge, we're hoping to get a resolution today. I'm just hoping to get some confirmation that this isn't gonna disqualify her from military service. So I'm just waiting on a phone call.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, if she can serve, then that would be good.
Your Honor, if you would like to start with the criminal calendar, the first two are females and are in the booth. I've spoken with them on probation violations and we're ready to proceed.
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
Mr. Rodriguez has returned, Your Honor.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Rodriguez has returned, but I don't see Mr. Handelsman.
Okay. Well, he should be back too because I closed the room.
Unless he needs to call him. Maybe you can ask him to call him, Your Honor. Call his attorney.
Let me make sure the room's closed. Yeah. Oh, no, he's still stuck in the room. I don't even know how you do that. But he's coming back now. Should. Okay. I closed the rooms and I still don't see him. That doesn't happen. I don't understand. Yeah, it must be some glitch because I closed the rooms. There's not even a room to be in. Hold on. Did he come back? There he is. Mr. Handelsman?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, I don't know what happened. I thought it was I thought there was some kind of glitch. Is your client ready to accept the plea?
Yes, he is.
All right.
¿Su cliente está listo para aceptar? Sí.
All right, so I'll just repeat the recommendation.
Entonces voy a repetir la recomendación.
12 months, 2 days credit for time served.
12 meses para cumplir 2 días, acreditándole el tiempo que ya cumplió.
Balance probated, fine in the amount of $500.
El saldo del tiempo en libertad, libertad condicional, una multa de $500.
With the surcharges, the fine is going to be closer to $1,000.
Con los recargos, la multa será más como $1,000, señor.
40 hours of community service and a substance abuse evaluation and any treatment that might be ordered.
40 horas de servicio comunitario y una evaluación para detectar problemas de consumo de sustancias, cualquier tratamiento que ellos recomiendan.
No alcohol or illicit drugs during the course of the probation.
Nada de consumo de alcohol ni drogas ilegales durante el transcurso de su libertad condicional.
You're subject to random testing for alcohol and drugs, and you'll also take a risk reduction course for DUI.
Estará sujeto a pruebas de drogodependencia al azar y tendrá que tomar el curso de reducción de riesgos a través de la escuela de DUI.
going to put you in a breakout room with the probation intake expert, Ms. Farley.
He's gonna go with Officer Nelby.
Officer who? I'm sorry.
Officer Nelby, so that Ms. Toles can go.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. All right. You'll be with Officer Nalban, who speaks Spanish.
Señor, usted va a estar con la funcionaria Nalban. Ella habla español.
She's going to do your intake.
Ella le va a ingresar a libertad condicional.
The quickest way to get rearrested is to not do your probation reports.
La manera más rápido de que le vuelvan a arrestar es no reportarse con libertad condicional.
So please make sure you report for probation as directed.
Así que por favor, preséntese con su agente de libertad condicional como le indique.
I'm going to put you in room number 5 with Ms. Nalban now.
Así que le voy a pasar a la sala virtual 5 con la señora Nalban.
Once you're finished, you do not have to come back to the main room. Judge, where do we sign the plea and the necessary documents?
You don't have to anymore. We do it electronically.
Ya no tienen que firmar. Lo hacemos electrónicamente.
Can I ask the solicitor to send me a copy of the sentence for my file, please?
Sure.
Sir, I'll send you a copy just momentarily.
Thank you.
Yeah, Miss.
And my presence is no longer required. May I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, Mr. Handelsman.
Thank you very much.
Ya no se requiere mi presencia, me puedo retirar. Sí, licenciado. Gracias.
All right. And Mr. Rodriguez, you should have gotten your invitation to room 5.
Señor Rodriguez, ¿ve la invitación al cuarto 5? Oh, there it is. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am.
Have a good day.
You too. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have completed the arraignment calendar except for Ms. Grisham. And we will come back to Ms. Grisham at the appropriate time. Now we're going to go to the to the jail calendar. The first person on the calendar is Kiera Archie. Ms. Archie is before the court for a probation revocation. And we are ready to go forward on Archie.
Bringing her out now, Your Honor.
Okay.
Judge is up there, the screen goes in. When you're talking to the judge, just look and speak up loudly so she can hear you, okay? Judge, this is Miss Archie.
Miss Archie, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Ms. Archie, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus Kiera Archie 2022 CR 06616. You were before this court for driving under the influence on the 19th day of August 2024, sentenced to 12 months on probation. You have 8 months and 6 days remaining. Your probation has not been told. You were before this in the probation office for testing, and it stated that you tested positive for the metabolites of alcohol on November 19th of 2024, and you failed to pay your currently $660 in arrears. You're represented for the petition by Mr. Taz Taylor. Mr. Taylor, what's going on with Miss Archie?
Your Honor, I haven't spoken with Miss Archie regarding how she came about to violate the testing. I will say, though, that she does stipulate to the violations, we stipulate to the violations, and we do wish to accept the probation officer Chang's recommended sentence for these violations.
All right. Miss Archie, how old are you, ma'am?
I'm 32 years old.
Okay. What's going on?
I've been going through a lot of stuff, processing a divorce with my child's father, and I don't do nothing else. I don't smoke weed. I don't do no drugs, and sometimes it's just hard to cope with stuff, and I'll have a drink. But
I got you. But you understand that you're not allowed to drink on this. Okay. And because you have a child, you got to remember that every time you de-stress in that way, it could end you up being in jail and separated from your child.
I don't want that. I'm not drinking no more. I don't want to be treated like this. I don't want to live like this. I want to be home, you know.
I got you.
I'm not a person. I don't want to be in this situation.
Okay, so divorce is hard. A lot of people equate divorce to have this to just like somebody dying, the level of stress that comes with it. I get that. What I want to know is, what are you doing other than occasionally having a drink to process your stress?
I had a life coach, but I couldn't afford to pay her no more. When I had my coach, things were okay, but it wasn't like everything was good.
Are you working?
I picked up a job when I got on probation back in August. I picked up a job to help me pay for my probation and stuff like that, because I did speak with my officer and let her know that I wasn't able to make the payments because I didn't have a steady, like a 9-to-5 steady job. But I found a 9-to-5 job. I've been going to work, you know. I don't know.
Does your job have benefits?
No, I don't have. I'm only a CNA. I'm just a CNA.
Okay, stop saying only and just. That's a job, and it's a hard job. Having done some of the care for, you know, my relatives who've been ill or who are older, that is a hard job, and it is a job. So no, there's no just a CNA, but just think about the fact that your job does not come with benefits, and I don't understand why that job in particular anybody would think that the person doing that job is not worthy of benefits. That's just crazy to me. But what I'm saying to you is, I'm asking these questions because I'm trying to think of the availability of counseling that could help you avoid. Let me just say this. AA meetings. I'm going to add one AA meeting a week. And the reason I'm doing that is because everybody's going through something. Some people deal with it, they take a drink. Some people deal with it in other ways. But I know that talking helps, and talking to people who are not going to judge you because they're going through similar or worse things. And so you can be a resource of support for somebody, and they can be a resource of support for you. And it doesn't cost you anything. And when you think about, hey, I might drink, you can go to extra meetings and say, hey, I need to go to a meeting right now because I just need to talk to some people and think through the way I'm handling things. Okay? Because what you don't want, especially in a situation where you're going through a divorce and you have a child, you don't want to put yourself in a vulnerable situation where somebody might think that you're not the parent who should be with your child.
Right, I don't want that.
You definitely don't want that. Okay? All right. So what was the recommendation, Ms. Chang?
Good morning, Your Honor. Probation recommends that 5 days be revoked since December 5th. Credit for time served. Return to probation. She originally, Your Honor, had to attend at least one AA or NA meeting per week, but only for the first 6 months of her sentence. We're recommending that she continue to attend one AA or NA meeting per week for the balance of her sentence.
Has she been attending?
Yes, Your Honor. The last documented AA meeting was 10/28, October
Okay, so she's
28th.
going. All right. So yes, ma'am, you're gonna continue your AA meetings. You're going. I appreciate that. And just kind of try and think through. Ask questions. I mean, because some people, like after the meeting, you know, there's some people who've gone through divorce, who've done it, who've successfully navigated that point. Just, you know, give yourself the opportunity to talk it out and not just think that you got to hold it all in and the only thing that will help is alcohol.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to return you to probation. You'll receive 5 days revoked credit for time served.
Some money's in arrears.
Do I have to pay the fines today?
No. But how, are you gonna have income to be able to pay those fines?
I don't know if they're gonna let me keep my job after being here for 5 days.
Okay. Your Honor,
Yes.
could we
I'll
ask?
suspend the supervision fees for right now.
Thank you, Your Honor. Exactly, but I was.
Thank you.
So there's fines and there's supervision fees. You still have to pay the fine because it's part of the original sentence of the DUI. But pay as you can. The important thing is reporting and getting to those AA meetings. Report, get to the AA meetings, pay when you can. You have any questions? Have you got somebody to pick you up later today?
I have to make a phone call.
They'll let you make a phone call once they access you.
Okay.
And if you need to catch a bus, a motor bus, go up to there's like an out window and
Okay. No, I don't have a question.
any questions. I mean, it's almost noon, but it's still early as far as the jail's concerned, so don't be surprised if it takes you closer to 5 or 6 o'clock for the actual.
I hate when I get all the way through it and it just disappears. There's a glitch in the way that this thing works, but I'll figure it out.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Taylor.
Yes, Ms. Chan.
For her next appointment, next Tuesday, December 17th at 1:30.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
December 17th, 1:30 p.m. Ms. Chang, we'll be bringing out Ms. Bird next. I haven't had a chance to speak to Mr. King because they haven't brought the male inmates into the booth yet.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Ms. Chang, your recommendation for Ms. Bird is 180 days in closed case. That takes care of both the 7 months remaining on the first charge and the 12 months remaining on the second consecutive charge.
Yes.
I did speak with her regarding her failure to report and failure to report to the jail. The reason for that is she was already in custody at the jail on unrelated charge. And that was also her reason for not making the last comment.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so Bird is next, BYRD.
Yes, she's coming up now, Your Honor.
Good morning, Ms. Bird.
Good morning, Ms. Hayward.
All right, so Ms. Bird, why am I seeing you again?
Can I speak?
Well, don't tell me about any new charges, but tell me about what's going on in your life that you can't get done what I need you to get done.
Your Honor, Ms. Bird was taken into custody, so she was already in the Clayton County Jail when she was supposed to report to the jail. And additionally, she was in the custody of the jail when she was supposed to report to probation. So that's the explanation for those two matters. Additionally, she has been paying. However, while she was in custody at the jail, which is ongoing, she has not been able to make her most recently required payment towards her probation funds.
Yeah, she seems to, her payments aren't behind. I mean, not over much. Yeah. Molly.
My understanding is she was preparing to come into the jail to do her weekend report. She had been taking care of a grandchild, and she had an altercation with her grandchild's father while exchanging custody so she could return to the jail. And that's when she picked up the new charge. And so without saying any of the details of that, which I don't know personally, that's how the charge took her into jail and caused her to.
Your Honor.
Violations.
Yes.
Your Honor, if I may, the incident report indicates that the time of the incident, the new charge on November 22nd was like at 11 or 21:32. And she was to report to the jail on November 22nd at 6 p.m. So I'm not sure.
11 the night before, 11 p.m.
No, the same night. So she should have reported to jail November 22nd, that Friday at 6 p.m. The report says that the incident happened on the same date, that Friday at night at 21:32.
That's the altercation that we was having. He was not trying to get my grandson, and I was trying to explain to him that I had to go to jail.
Your Honor, speaking with Ms. Bird, the difficulty occurred when her grandson's father refused to come and take custody of the child so that she could go report to the jail.
Okay, where's the mother of the child?
She's at home. She works 11 and 7. She works a night shift job, so he was supposed to get him for the weekends because she has to be to work at 11 o'clock. That's how all this That's how all this came about. That's how all it came about.
Okay. What's the recommendation?
Your Honor, probation recommends that 180 days be revoked, credit for time served since November 22nd, and close both cases.
Were any of the people allegedly involved in this altercation people from the first set of issues?
No, Your Honor, it's not the same victim as the probated case.
Okay, so since I feel like whatever the new case is gonna either come to me or go upstairs, let's do this. Let's do 90 days to serve on this, and whatever comes from the new offense we'll worry about that then. Okay, so 90 days, the balance will be suspended.
Means no more correction, but if you pick up another charge, she can come back instead. It's almost like closing the case, but it's not fully closed. If you pick up another charge, the 2 years it's sitting out, or 18 months by that point, could come back if you pick up another charge. So just don't get it problems. And then you and I, or Mr. Lynch and I, when that new charge comes up, we'll talk to you about that. 90 days. And then you should have a bond on the new charge. After you've done the 90 days, you'll be able to post a bond to get out. One will be available to you. 90 days from today, Your Honor, or from
credit since the date of lockup.
So 85 days. February, basically.
Okay.
Does that sound right? Yeah.
She's been in since November 22nd. It's about 18 days.
Oh, I had the wrong date. Okay, so you get credit for the 18 days. 18 off 90 is 72. 72 by 7 is roughly 10 weeks. 10 weeks, 2 days. Okay. Judge, may Ms. Bird go back now?
Yes. Ms. Bird, let me tell you something, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
In this instance, sometimes you got to step out of the way and let your children manage their own lives. I hate that this is getting you back into a situation that you were managing, because I think this is your first hearing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And so this situation was being managed. You were doing what you were supposed to do. I hadn't heard anything, and you have made quite a few jail weekends, and then this situation happens. Sometimes you got to let your children stand up on their own 2 feet. If they got to pay for a sitter, then they got to do what's necessary to make sure that they can afford to pay for a sitter. Okay? I get that you care about your grandchild. I get that, trust me. But what I'm saying to you is, sometimes I tell friends of mine this, sometimes you got to put your own life vest on before you can turn around and help the other people who need help. You got to take care of you first. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And that's the reason that I'm kind of getting this situation. This is a very long sentence that you were under, and you had no mess ups that I'm aware of, and you hadn't been back before me. You have been reporting for jail. And so I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt for that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. You go back with the sheriff's office, and I'm not doing day for day. I'm saying whatever the sheriff's calculations are.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Sheriff.
All right, so we got Bird, Archie and Bird have been completed. Next on the calendar.
Your Honor, maybe we bring out Miss Tammy Jackson. I believe that may be the last female, then they can put the male.
Yeah, that works just fine.
And Your Honor, on Miss Jackson, this is a peculiar situation. She tells me that she has been in custody for 2 years. I show that this charge was placed on her December 4th of this year, but it occurred October 10th of last year. And she has been in custody for a substantial amount of time on an unrelated aggravated assault charge.
Okay.
She has questions about that, and I do as well, because I only see the aggravated assault charge when I look up her LE number under
okay.
search.
Okay, back up. So she's in custody on a felony.
Yes, aggravated assault under LE number 228-5203.
Okay. And she has been in custody since
October 10th of 2023 is what it appears to be to me.
Okay, and that's on the felony.
Yes.
And she picked up this charge when?
October the 10th of 2023.
So she may have had an active warrant, and then when she was picked up on this and charged on this, this is the first time she's coming to court, though, for whatever reason.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay, so this exceeds my so fortunately she was on the felony, because the time she spent would have been more than the misdemeanor time I could give her. Unless I'm running stuff consecutively.
Correct, Judge.
Whew. Okay, I'm not sure why she hadn't come to our attention, because it just says it was just accused, which means that we wouldn't know about it until it's accused.
Right.
There's a disconnect between, I guess, magistrate court and the solicitor's office. I'm not blaming anybody, but I do know that the things aren't, the transfer of information has had some glitches. Let's put it that way.
And it does appear that she does have 2 open cases as well. So
misdemeanors or felonies?
Let me confirm.
Okay, Mr. Taylor, do we have any concerns from
misdemeanors, Your Honor? Misdemeanors.
Health situation, or a mental health situation, or a cognitive situation with Ms. Jackson?
Slight, but not to the point where she doesn't understand why she's here. We discussed the current charges before the court, and she remembers the situation and told me she was homeless and also had been denied help.
I was denied to live in a shelter.
Denied living in a shelter when she looked for it. And that's, let me, okay. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
So that's why she found herself at the location where she drew the criminal trespass and the loitering charge. Again, as I said, there may be some other issues, but she does understand why she was here. And we do.
I'm sorry, Mr. Taylor, I didn't want to interrupt, but I gotta say this before it leaves my head. But Ms. Hagler said there was 2 other cases that are misdemeanors. Is it possible to get all of that done today?
This is the only one I'm aware of, is case 09822 plus case, well, I'm not sure what the case number is, but the aggravated assault charge that occurred in Riverdale, Georgia.
Okay, so let's put the ag assault away for a minute, and let's figure out what other misdemeanor charges she has, because what I would rather do than have her come back out here for like piecemeal these, see if we can do a global, get all of the misdemeanor stuff handled, so that by the time her case is adjudicated upstairs, she doesn't have those things pending, which may
absolutely,
Your Honor. And Your Honor, if I may, I actually just misspoke. It is just only the felony that's open for her.
Okay, so this is her only misdemeanor.
Good. Correct.
Okay,
we're good.
All right. So, Mr. Taylor, did you need additional time to speak with her, or are y'all ready to go forward on this?
Your Honor, we're ready to go. I'm sorry.
What's going on?
So we're going to enter a plea to this charge, and then this will be closed out. This criminal trespass at the day's end. You'll still have the felony aggravated assault, but this will be gone away. But you should have an attorney that comes to visit you and figure out why you have not been arraigned on the aggravated assault, why that case is not moving forward.
Do we know which judge it is?
I do not, Your Honor.
If you give me 1 second, Your Honor, I can tell you.
Okay, thank you.
You had a question?
How long am I being? How long am I going to be incarcerated?
That,
Because I'm ready to see my family, because I really didn't do anything to get in jail. And
Well-
someone called the police on me for no reason when I was.
Yana, her felony cases with Judge Mason.
Okay, let me send him a message.
two cases, one that we can close out today.
Okay, we can close it out today.
Okay, and I don't expect, we'll have to talk to the judge, but I don't expect it's going to make you stay here longer. But the other case is not closed out.
Okay.
And that's the one that's kept you here from last year all the way to now.
Okay.
And that's the one that's keeping you from getting out. But our judge, Judge Hayward, is going to contact the other judge, Judge Mason, and find out what's going on and why you haven't been up to see him.
Okay.
Okay. Your Honor, I do see that Ms. Jackson has a bond on the felony charge, but it's $15,000.
Uh-huh.
So she is not going to be able to make that at all. I don't know if she has to go before Judge Mason for consideration on a bond reduction, or if that's something that we can do.
I'm copying you, Mr. Taylor, and you, Ms. Hagler, on the information I'm sending to Judge Mason and Ms. Clemens, who's the clerk of court for Superior Court. So you all will have that information.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Tom.
All right. So I sent that. All right. Okay. So for Ms. Jackson's case, did she wish to enter a plea today?
Yes, Your Honor. It's a no contest plea, correct?
Yes.
No contest.
All right.
Was this non-negotiated for my information?
We are accepting the state's recommendation, Your Honor.
Well, I'm not accepting a no-lo for count 4.
Let's count. Okay, hold on.
Your Honor, then we will go non-negotiated. We still wish no plea.
All right, yeah, let me hear the facts of this case before I make a decision. Ms. Jackson, this is case 2024 CR 09822, Tammy Jackson. Ms. Jackson, raise your right hand for me.
And Your Honor, may I speak with
Yes.
Ms. Jackson briefly before we go forward?
Sure. You can put your hand down.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're ready to proceed.
All right. Ms. Jackson, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give will be true.
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. So you're before the court for criminal trespass, count 1, loitering or prowling, count 2, disorderly conduct, count 3, and public indecency, count 4. What is your client plead to the offenses before the court, Mr. Taylor?
Your Honor, my client pleads nolo to count 1 and count 4. I believe the 2 and 3 were being null pros.
No, this is non-negotiated, so I'm not null prosing it.
Okay.
Okay, and
we're entering a nolo contendere to counts 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay. All right. By entering the nolo pleas, ma'am, you would give up the right to have a trial. You would give up the right to have the state prove the case against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to present evidence and testimony on your behalf. You give up the right to not incriminate yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or nolo could have a negative effect on your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about October the 10th of 2023, Officer Isaiah Atkins was dispatched to 7385 Hanover Parkway, Stockbridge, Georgia, apartment R220, Clayton County, in reference to a disturbance. Upon his arrival, he made contact with the defendant, who stated that she did not have a room at the Days Inn Hotel. The defendant was occupying the property. After admitting to not having a room at the hotel, the defendant was also observed yelling profanities in a loud and irate tone within hearing range of the occupants of the hotel. While Officer Atkins was speaking to the defendant in the parking lot of the hotel, she pulled up her dress, exposed her vagina to Officer Atkins, and began fondling her vagina and boasted about how good it was. At that time, the defendant was placed under arrest for the charges, loitering and prowling, disorderly conduct, and public indecency. Your Honor, for count one, the state's offer is 12 months to serve, 30 days, credit for time served, balance suspended. The defendant is to not return and to stay away from 7385 Hanover, HANNO, V as in Victor, ER, Parkway, Stockbridge, Georgia, 30281, also known as the Days Inn Hotel. Count two, 12 months to serve, 30 days, balance suspended. Count three, 12 months to serve, 30 days, balance suspended. And for count four, 12 months to serve, 30 days, balance suspended. Again, the defendant is not returned, and the state is asking the court to not accept a plea of nolo, as the defendant intentionally exposed her vagina to Officer Atkins. Thank you.
Mr. Taylor?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state's recommendation originally was 12 months to serve 1 day to enter a plea, and count one. Count two is to be no cross per state recommendation. Count three was to be no cross per state recommendation. And count four was 12 months to serve, 30 days, balance suspended, and do not return per state recommendation. We would ask the court to consider 12 months to serve 30 days with balance suspended and to run concurrent on all four counts, and for her to be given credit for the time that she has served in custody prior to today's date.
Okay. Has she had a mental health eval?
Not that I'm aware of, Your Honor.
How old is Ms. Jackson?
Your age? How old are you?
31.
31 years old, Your Honor.
Ms. Jackson, do you have any family in Georgia?
Yes, I have family. I can give out the names, but I don't know where my family is at. I haven't contacted my family in a long time because of my aunt. My aunt didn't want me around my family.
So how long have you been kind of making it on your own?
I've been getting Social Security benefits. I've been catching a mobility service to go to school when I stayed in another city in Georgia. I've been wanting to go to school for nursing, and I wanted to be a social worker to help others.
Okay, so where was the last place that you lived with your family?
This was long ago. I don't know. This was like when I was in my 20s.
Okay.
20 years old.
And you've been kind of making it on your own since then?
Yes, because I was getting Social Security benefits, and so I would pay my rent, I would catch the bus to school, and I would search.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you have any children?
Yes, I have a daughter. She's 13.
Who's keeping your daughter?
My foster mom. I haven't contacted her because I tried to call her and the number, like the jail block, administration had blocked her number from me calling her. And I haven't spoken to my daughter, and I don't know where my daughter is. Because I
Okay. So when you're going to get out of jail at some point because you have issues upstairs, but what I wanted you to do is ask to speak with the chaplain while you were in there so that you can get some information about a program that might help you. You might be able to go through the Salvation Army. There's some other programs that might help you kind of get yourself so that you're not on the street, okay? And they might help you. I know that once you're in jail, they cut off your Social Security, so they might help you. I'm sorry?
I can look for a job. I got my CNA license.
I got you that you can look for a job, but if you're also getting Social Security, you want to be able to get those benefits. Yeah. Okay. All right, so I'm going to accept your plea of nolo to counts 1 through 4. I'll send you to 12 months to serve 30 days credit for time served. The balance will be suspended as long as you do not go back to the Days Inn at 7385 Hanover Parkway in Stockbridge, Georgia, Clayton County. Counts 1, 2, 3, and 4 will run concurrent with each other. You'll get credit since the date of lockup on, or credit for time served on each of those. Okay. All right.
Time served, what's
That means.
That means I'm not going to make you spend any more time on this case, but you will still be in jail because of the felony case. But I sent a message to that judge to make sure that you get an opportunity to come before the judge. Okay.
But I didn't do anything but throw a pitchfork at somebody.
No, don't tell me anything. You just gonna go see that judge and talk to an attorney that they're gonna give you when you get upstairs, okay? It's gonna be a different attorney, not Mr. Taylor. It's gonna be another person upstairs.
When will I go upstairs?
I'm hoping that that'll be soon. I'm sending the message today, okay?
We don't know the exact date.
We don't know, but I'm gonna send that message, okay?
But that was not aggravated assault. I was
It's okay.
Don't tell me anything, Miss Jackson, because I don't want you to mess up your case, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
That, I believe, concludes the females on the calendar, and Mr. Lynch is in the booth. Let's see who's available next.
Okay, are you, let me know who y'all are ready on.
I'm ready on a couple, Judge. Judge, we could go ahead and take care of a couple probation matters. We could start with Mr. Jaquez King. I believe that's a Miss Chang case, if she's still ready to go. And then I also did speak with Mr. Leverett, also a probation case. That's Mr. Carmichael. Both cases are going to be stipulate, and we're going to ask the court to take the recommendation from the probation office on both of these matters. Will you bring up
One second, I'm sorry.
Mr. King? Okay. Just stand right next to me, Mr. King.
Raise your right hand for me, Mr. King. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony given in this matter will be true.
I do.
Okay. All right, so you can put your hand down. Mr. King, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus Jaquez King, 2023 CR 10297 and 2021 CR 06111 for hindering or obstructing law enforcement, DUI combined substances on the 19th day of February 2024, sentenced to 12 months on probation. Since the 12 months on probation, and you have 2 months and 8 days remaining. Says that you tested positive for marijuana, THC, on November 4th, 2024 at the probation office. You also are currently $858.50 in arrears. Mr. Lynch, Owen Lynch is representing you. Mr. Lynch, what is your client plead to the offensive? What is your client's state regarding the conditions that have been alleged to be violated?
Yes, Judge. So as far as the positive test, he's going to stipulate that he did consume and that he did test positive for THC. As far as the arrearages, there may be some arrearages, but from speaking to my client, he's actually less in arrears than that number reflects because he has made some payments. And I think Ms. Chang can confirm that. Just while I'm talking, I believe that this would be his first positive test during the period of probation. And I believe that as far as at least the DUI conditions, he did complete all the community service and conditions. And so, Judge, we are going to ask the court to accept the recommendation from Ms. Chang.
All right, Ms. Chang.
Your Honor, probation recommends that he receive credit for the 4 days that he has served since December 6th, return to probation for the balance. A payment did post after the petition was prepared of $150, so he now owes $708.50 as his fine balance.
All right, Mr. King, why would you risk it, sir? Why do you want to spend time in jail? It's not a good place.
I honestly don't have no excuse at all. It was something I shouldn't have did, and I had to regret it.
Okay, well, I mean, where are you working?
I was at Mando America, so when I get out, because what happened was when it was a warrant place for my arrest, they do some kind of audit, either weekly or monthly. So when it was a warrant place, then it stopped my badge from working. So when I get out, I got to talk to them and make sure that I still have that job. If not, I do have another employment opportunity. So hopefully that works out.
Mr. King, how old are you?
26.
Mr. King, it's time to get serious about your life, sir. You're 26 years old, and you already got some issues that are on your record for as far as substance abuse. You got a DUI, now you just tested positive for marijuana. You need to get it straight, because a lot of these things are going to keep you from being able to have the kind of job that will sustain you and give you the opportunity to live well. You know, a lot of people are just making it, and I get that. It is hard out here. But if you want to live well, then that requires you to work or have a business. And it requires you to kind of keep on the straight and narrow, because this wastes time and money. You know, you being in here wastes money because you're losing money on your job. You're losing time. You could be out there making money and achieving some things, but you're wasting it. And don't let marijuana make you waste things. If it's a situation where you can manage it and you know you're not going to go to jail for smoking, that's one thing. That's between you and yourself. But if you know that you're going to test, and when you test, you're going to lose 4 days or more in the Clayton County Jail, which is unsafe right now, and I'm not afraid to say it, you know, why would you do it?
I agree.
Okay, so you got to start thinking about things in a more mature way, because I promise you, I still remember what it felt like to be 26. But when I get up in the morning and my feet hit the floor and those pains hit me, and I start thinking about how long ago 26 was for me, it goes fast, really fast. Do you have any children?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a 3-year-old and want to be here in March.
Okay, so Mr. King, you got a 3-year-old and a baby on the way. What sense does it make for you to be wasting your time in the Clayton County Jail when you got a child coming? And I want to challenge you to do something for me. I don't want you to be a baby daddy. I want you to be a dad, a father, the type of person who knows when their child is sick, the type of person who is as comfortable taking care of their child as the mama is, the type of person who is, if your child is sick, then that baby's going to lay on your shoulder and you're going to walk the floor with her just like her mama could. The type of dad who knows the teachers and who interacts with the child's teachers and makes sure that they're meeting the benchmarks so that they can have a better life. I challenge you to be a dad, not a baby daddy. Are we clear?
Yeah.
Baby daddies are a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. And all of the children who are suffering through these baby daddy experiences, they're the ones who are going to end up in orange jumpsuits when I'm about ready to retire. I don't want your kids here. I want you to be sitting at an award ceremony for your child. You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's my challenge to you. And you can't do that not taken seriously that if I smoke or if I do drink and drive, I'm not going to be here for my kids. You got me? And the mother of your children, they deserve to have you present to help. Having a baby is a hard thing. Raising kids is a hard thing. I don't know how good I would be at it if my husband wasn't a dad. And I see single moms struggle all the time when they shouldn't have to. They didn't make the baby by themselves. So they shouldn't have to struggle to raise that child. Got me? Don't ever tap your chest talking about how great your kids are unless you help to make them that way. Then you can beat your chest. Then you can show off and brag about it. But don't take credit for something that you had nothing to do with. Okay? All right. So I'm going to accept the recommendation. I'll sentence you to 4 days credit for time served. You'll return to probation for the balance. I will acknowledge that you have made a payment. You continue to make those payments. And hopefully, if you don't get this job back, that the next opportunity will work for you, because you need that job. You got 2 kids. You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, sir.
And if I may, Your Honor, give him an appointment.
Sure. Go ahead, ma'am.
Mr. King, if you'll report next week on Tuesday, December 17th at 2:45.
I'll be there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. King, like I said, I want you to I'm challenging you, be a dad. This new baby is coming. You got a 3-year-old. They need you.
I'm there.
All right. All right. Take care, sir.
Thank you. You good? Bye.
Hey, Deputy, if you could bring out, I'm sorry, Mr. Leverett, when you get a chance.
Your Honor, that's all I have this morning. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I can get you done, but I need a chance to talk to the prosecutor about what you kind of shown me. So that's why I'm waiting for an opportunity.
All right, who we got next?
This is Mr. Joshua Rashid Leverett. He is here on a petition to violate, a petition on probation. I did have a opportunity to speak to Mr. Carmichael, and he did tell me what his recommendation would be. Mr. Leverett is going to stipulate to the violation, and we're going to ask the court to accept that.
All right, raise your right hand for me, Mr. Leverett. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
I do.
All right, you could put your hand down. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus Joshua Rashid Leverett, 2024 CR 00306. You're before the court for battery, family violence on the 11th day of March 2024. You were sentenced to 12 months on probation. You have 5 months and 4 days remaining. Your sentence was tolled because we lost track of you. You failed to report on May 16, 2024, May 28th, June 11th, and July 9th of 2024. You've never reported to probation. You have failed to provide proof of completing a family violence intervention program, and you are $300 in arrears. What's going on, Mr. Leverett, that you couldn't do anything that I asked you to do?
I'm homeless, ma'am.
Okay. You said you're homeless. Is there any place that you can call stable?
When I leave here, I gotta go down to Wilcox County,
What's in Wilcox County?
open charge.
I think he's telling the court he has a hold when he leaves.
Yeah, I got a hold.
He's going to custody somewhere else. I know that wasn't.
Oh, okay. I don't know the people down in Wilcox County, but I'm afraid for you, Mr. Leverett. Mr. Leverett, how old are you?
34.
Okay, at some point we gotta grow up and make certain decisions and choices in our life. Is there something that prevents you from working?
No, ma'am. Just I
Okay.
have no ID, no social security card. I have limited resources. I don't have family like that.
I got you. So there are some programs that will, I don't know what happens in Wilcox, but I know in Clayton County, there are some programs that might help you get that ID. The Salvation Army, the Clayton Center. So ask for help. There are chaplains in the jail who have information that part of their whole function in the jail is to support you and help you figure it out. Okay, they have information. So ask to see someone regarding like a connection to something for when you get out. You'll probably be released in Wilcox County. I'm not sure what resources they have. You might want to ask some questions here because it's the metro and there are probably more resources available here than in Wilcox County. But at some point, I get that you don't have family like that, but you'd be amazed at how much people can accomplish even by themselves without family support. There's some incredible stories of people's resilience and their ability, but you got to have determination to do stuff. Like when you get a job, you make sure that you work that job diligently so you build up some good credit for people who might be willing to help you if you ever get in a situation. You don't do anything that you know that would bring you to the attention of the police or the judicial system. That's easy enough for that to happen without you doing anything, but you sure don't help, okay? You got to start making some decisions about what you want your life to look like in the future. And you can't just go from day to day. You got to make a plan. You got to speak it into existence. You got to start talking about where you see your life 5 years from now, 1 year from now. Because just going along to get along is what's got you in Clayton County and Wilcox County. Okay? Wow. All right. So what's the recommendation, Mr. Carmichael?
Yes, Your Honor. Probation recommends serve 30 days, closed case, given credit for the time he served, time of lockup back in November 27th.
Okay. Mr. Lynch?
Yes, Judge. I would ask the court to accept it in this situation, especially in light of the fact that he's not going to be released to the street. I do think that is appropriate resolution here. Deputy, have you put in new one?
Forest.
Okay. I was like, I know he's not in there. Okay. It's like,
All right. Mr. Leverett, I know this is a case that involved, I think, a battery. Please don't have any contact with the individual who's part of the battery, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I need you to start thinking about the way you want your life to be.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Who's next?
And Your Honor, that was my only case. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Could I request a very brief breakout room with Ms. Hagler? I want to do Mr. Dallas next, and I believe we're going to resolve both those cases through a plea. I just wanted to ask her for a minor consideration.
All right, y'all are in breakout room number 3 already.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I do have an announcement when the court's ready. Or really a plea that we're ready on.
All right, Mr. Lynch, what you got?
Ms. Grisham off the arraignment calendar.
Yes.
We have a plea negotiated for her.
Bring her up. All right. Raise your right hand for me, ma'am. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus Alayia Danielle Grisham, 2023 CR 02718 for criminal trespass, count 1, obstruction of an officer, count 2, and simple assault, count 3. What is your client plead to the offenses before the court, Mr. Lynch?
Judge, she's going to plead guilty to count 3. In exchange for that, the state has agreed to no pros counts 1 and 2. And that will be the plea, Judge.
All right. By entering a plea of guilty to count 3, counts 1 and 2 will be no pros. You give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And Ms. Grisham, if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively affect your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes.
All right. Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about September the 1st of 2022, Officer Fritz Georges responded to 3110 Dana Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30349, Clayton County, in reference to a disturbance. Upon his arrival, he made contact with the victim, also the complainant, Mr. Juan Cecilio, Cecilio. The victim showed Officer George's text messages where he advised the defendant to not come to the location. The defendant came to the location anyway and proceeded to bang on the door of the victim's home. Officer Georges advised the defendant that he saw text messages where the victim told her to not come. Officer Georges advised the defendant that that the victim was not in there and that she had to leave. The defendant stated that she would bust the windows out of the location. At this point, Officer Georges began to detain the defendant. As he began to detain the defendant, she resisted and kicked Officer Georges. Officer Georges was kicked 4 times. And the defendant attempted to reach for his duty belt. Officer Georges was able to restrain the defendant. At that time, she was arrested. Your Honor, the state's recommendation is going to null pros count 1 and 2 for count 3, 12 months to serve, 2 days, community time served, balance probated, a fine of $300, 40 hours of community service, and the defendant is to have no contact with the victim, Juan Cecilio, Juan Cecilio, and to stay away and not return to 3110 Dana, Dayna Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30349.
And Judge, I think, well, I don't think the state would object to probation terminating when she completes those conditions. And I'm going to lay out a couple of reasons why we're going to ask you to allow her probation to terminate. If I can go ahead.
No objection from the state, Your Honor.
Judge, Miss Grisham, I keep forgetting your age, but I believe you're 26 years old. She's a graduate of Agnes Scott College. She's got her bachelor's degree. Her intent is to join the Army, and I did speak with a recruiter in an effort to determine whether this would be disqualifying for her to join. My understanding is she should be able to go forward with this plea and still be accepted for service. And so we're going to ask the court to impose the conditions offered to her by the state, but consider allowing her probation to terminate once she completes those conditions, Judge.
Okay, I have questions. So, are you, which branch?
The Army.
Are you going in as a officer?
I am, yes.
So you're going to officer candidate school?
I will be, yes.
Okay, so I get that this was a couple of years ago, but you know the lifestyle you're about to embark upon does not allow for this kind of foolishness, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And as for an officer, because I'm telling you, because I was a military kid, my mom went to officer candidate school. She went to the Air Force, but she did officer candidate training, and so did my brother. But you're taking on a leadership role. From the moment you step through those doors, you're going to be a leader, and people are expected to follow you, follow your orders, follow your directions. They're supposed to have a level head because you are the one who models that being level-headed. And so I want to make sure that you appreciate the effect that this could have had on the life that you want.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna be leading people. So part of leading people is directing them away from this kind of situation. Don't be shy about sharing your situation, because a lot of times our mess ups can be a message for somebody else and to put them on the right track. You didn't go through this just to kind of hide it and move on. If there's somebody who could benefit from knowing about this situation and being directed away from something like this, then don't be afraid to share it. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If you graduated from Agnes Scott, you're very smart. And so emotional intelligence is what we're gaining, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I'm going to accept your plea. I'm going to counts 1 and 2 will be no pros. Count 3 is a guilty plea. 12 months to serve 2 days credit for time served. Balance will be probated as long as you pay a fine in the amount of $300. It's $444 with the surcharges and 40 hours of community service. And as a Scotty, I'm sure that you know places where community service can be served. You will find some, and this is the holiday season. So like Hosea Helps and all of those organizations that are trying to meet the needs of the less fortunate people during this holiday season, they can use you. So please make sure that you get that done very quickly. And upon completion of the conditions of probation, your probation will terminate, okay? All right, so Ms. Grisham, I wish going into the military is an amazing thing. As part of my mom and dad were both military officers. As part of their family, I have traveled the world. I have taken military aircraft to places where probably didn't even know about them before. I was 15 years old and I was in Turkey. So take advantage of those opportunities, okay? Take advantage of the travel. Take advantage of the opportunity to see other parts of the world. Take advantage of what the military offers you, okay?
I will, thank you.
And Your Honor, don't forget the no contact and then do not return also.
Yeah, don't have no contact with Mr. Cecilio, Juan Cecilio, and do not go back to 31160 Dana Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, Clayton County. All right, we're clear?
Yes.
All right, I wish you well, Ms. Grisham. Okay, I look forward to talking to Captain Grisham at some point if you want to come check in on me, all right?
I will.
All right, thank you. Take care.
You too.
Have a good one.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
welcome. Here we go.
All right, tell Mr. Lynch, tell her to 303 for probation.
You're gonna go to room 303 for probation. I can email you the disposition. They're gonna email it to you. Or if for some reason you don't get it from me, you need it, you can always get it from the first floor clerk, but I'll try to email that to you today whenever the clerk emails. Yeah. And Chaz, I'm gonna talk to Mr. King. I just heard about that, changed off a little bit. I'm not Mr. King, Mr. Pelas. Mr. King. I just told him how serious it's going through. Yeah, we can check it on it, but we got an E&D, emotion suppressed. But the last one? Yeah, that's the only person left? Okay.
All right, we need to move along. We got a lot of people and we're only on page, we still got a bunch of people on the jail calendar. Calvin Dallas has 2 cases. Ricky Dean has 2 cases. 3 cases. We've done Miss Jackson, Mr. King. Mr. King had 2 cases. We took care of both of those on his probation revocation. Mr. Leverett, Mr. Previlos is done. John Suarez Kingsman, DeMorris Tucker. We still have those cases to deal with.
Your Honor, Mr. DeMorris Tucker is not in custody.
Okay, so Tucker is OTB.
Filed 12/6. And Mr. Suarez Kingsman needs an interpreter.
Oh, I asked y'all when Miss Val, can you give a message to Miss Tolles that we need her back? But y'all be ready when she comes. So like, I don't want her here sitting.
Well,
I gotta share her.
and
I like to stay on the good side of the interpreters.
absolutely, Your Honor. It's a no license case, so I think we'll be able to resolve it fairly quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, I do have a couple announcements.
All right, go ahead.
So, Judge, for Mr. Dallas, he's got 2 cases. We have a negotiated plea to resolve both of those cases. And then for Mr. Ricky Lee Dean, he's
got 3 cases.
3 cases, and one of them, I believe, we'll need to submit an appointment order for because it doesn't show us as being appointed.
That's fine.
However, today, based on the recommendations we have, we're going to go ahead and enter not guilty pleas and kind of check in with Mr. Dean and see if we can get something worked out. But he's got a lot going on right now.
Darren, is a mental health issue going on? What's going on? Because he's gotten 3 cases in a short amount of time.
Sure, Judge. There may be mental health issues. I can't speak to that, but I can tell you there are no competency issues. Mr. Dean certainly understands.
Does he have bonds?
He does have bonds, Judge, and I think he has a pending Superior Court matters as well, Judge.
Is there a likelihood of him getting out?
Judge, he is going to attempt to make bond.
Bring him out.
Sure. Bring out Mr. Dean.
Your Honor, on case 9630, there's approximately $13,000 in bond. That's the case with the DUI and less safe. I haven't checked the bond on 10659 and 0983. There does appear to be bonds on those. However, he has a felony aggravated stalking charge that does not have a bond per inmate search. Is what?
Bring Mr. Dean out. We need to have a conversation.
It's out in front of the judge.
Mr. Dean.
Hey, how you doing?
Can you see me?
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to see how serious I am when I tell you this.
Okay.
Should you make bond, please understand and be clear that if you were to have contact with anybody listed on your bond conditions, if you were to go back to any area listed on your bond conditions, then there would be an immediate motion to revoke your bond. You understand that? Okay. I don't care if no calls, have nobody talk to the people on your behalf, not your mama, your cousin, your best friend, no social media, no nothing. Are we clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because if on the off chance that you bond out on all of these offenses, because you have racked up 3 very serious misdemeanor offenses in a short amount of time, that means something is not right. You are not thinking clearly. And so I want you to be very clear, look me in my face when I say, I am not the one.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I will not play with you.
Yes, ma'am.
And if I have to revoke your bond, I'm gonna make sure you get another felon. We clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you're unclear about who I'm talking about, ask your attorneys to get a copy of your bond conditions and make sure you have it folded up in your pocket so that you can remind yourself of who not to have contact with. And let me remind you, they record jail calls. So don't play with me. Because I can't tell you the number of jail calls when they say this call will be recorded and people still talk and violate their bond conditions. Are we clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, don't play with me, Mr. Dean. You can go back with the sheriff's office. You're entering a not guilty plea. You will keep in, even if you get out, you will keep in touch with your attorneys and see if we can resolve these cases. Also be mindful, you currently have a felony pending and you're gonna have to deal with that also. But please, you have never heard anything that anybody has ever told you, do not violate your bond conditions.
Okay.
All right, you can go back. Having a great day.
All right, thank you. All right,
Judge, the Spanish interpreter is en route.
Thank you.
And
All right, so Mr. Dean's cases, not guilty on all 3. If you need to send me an appointment order, that's fine.
Thank you, Judge. And we are ready. Deputy's going to bring out Mr. Dallas, and then I think we're just holding on the interpreter case.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you all.
Before Judge logs off, we need to remind Ms. Clerk that we do not have last Tuesday's disposition.
Let me just do that right now. Is Miss Wright on the call still?
Yes, sir, I am.
So my trial partner just informed me that right here, sir. We're still looking for dispositions from last Tuesday. I don't know if there's any way you can help.
I thought I signed everything, Miss Wright. If I didn't, let me know, but I thought I went down and cleared my whole email string.
Okay, I will take a look at last Tuesday's calendar and make sure you get your dispositions.
It may not have been you. It may have been somebody else sitting in for you. But if I didn't, let me know, or if it didn't go through, let me know. But I was pretty much very meticulous about trying to get those cleared out. But if something didn't send or go through, just let me know, and I'll put that at the top of the queue and sign everything again.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Ms.
After
Wright.
court today, I'll take a look at that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I'll search and see if I have missed some, or if I have some things that I didn't address. All right, Mr. Dallas. Raise your right hand for me.
Speak up when you get to court.
You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you put your hand down. Mr. Dallas, how old are you, sir?
I'm 20.
Okay. You're before the court on 2024 CR 09702, Calvin Dallas IV, battery, family violence, count 1, battery, count 2, simple battery, family violence, count 3, simple battery, count 4. And then on case 2024 CR 09704, Calvin Dallas IV, public transit violation. How does your client plead to the offenses before the court in the case ending in 09702?
Judge, he's going to plead guilty to count 1. I believe the remaining counts merge, and he's going to plead guilty to the other matter as well.
Okay. Sir, by entering a plea of guilty to count 1 on case 2024 CR 09702, counts 2, 3, and 4 will merge. And by entering a plea of guilty on case 2024 CR 09704, the only count of public transit violation, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about, pursuant to the state warrant in the packet, on or about September the 23rd of 2024, Officer Officer Anthony Watson responded to 1401 Rock Cut Road, Rex, Georgia, Clayton County, in regarding a domestic disturbance. The victim, Miss Erica Joyce Harper, and the defendant were involved in a verbal argument. During the verbal argument, the altercation turned physical. The defendant punched the victim in the nose, causing swelling and a scratch mark on the left side of her nose. The victim also had a bruise on her right arm and bruising on her left leg. The victim and the defendant have previously lived together, and they share a 2-month-old child together. And that's why the defendant was charged with battery, family violence. Your Honor, those are the facts of that case. The state's recommendation is 12 months to serve, 30 days, credit since the date of lockup, balance probated, no violent or harassing contact with the victim. The defendant is to complete the family violence intervention program. Counts 2, 3, and 4 are going to merge. For the case ending in 09704, on or about November the 15th of 2024, while on patrol at the MARTA Airport Station, Officer E. White observed the defendant gain entry illegally into the station by running behind a paying patron without paying the required MARTA fee of $2.50. The defendant was asked to provide his MARTA Breeze card and ID, and the MARTA Breeze card showed a balance of $0. It was also determined during Officer White's investigation that the defendant was issued a MARTA suspension notice, number 101930, for 60 days with an effective date of December the 15th of 2024, and that the defendant could resume riding on February the 13th of 2025. At that time, the defendant was arrested. Your Honor, for count 1, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve, 18 days, community time served, balance suspended, and the defendant is to not return and to stay away from the MARTA Airport Station until we can resume riding on February 13th of 2025. And that address.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That
No, I'm
address,
gonna bet he gonna be off all of MARTA, so I don't really need an address.
yes,
Mr. Lynch.
Judge, that's my understanding. My understanding is that the sentences would run concurrent. I have spoken to Mr. Dallas and explained to him what the Family Violence Intervention Program is, and that he's going to need to complete that to successfully complete probation, that he's going to need to report. The child is now 5 months old that he has with the alleged victim in this case. And Mr. Dallas informs me that he is going to step up and do what he needs to do to put himself in a position to provide for that young daughter that he has. I'm not sure if he's currently working, but that's going to be his first order of business when he gets out of custody, is to find himself an appropriate job. And I would ask the court to accept the plea as negotiated.
See, Mr. Lynch has been working with me a long time, so he has preempted my fussing. He's trying to get me not to fuss at you. Step closer to this microphone, sir, to the computer. Let me tell you something. First of all, you're too young to have a child, but you got one. So there we are. Don't have no more right now because you can't afford yourself, less more a child. If you going and you can't pay the MARTA fare of $2 and something, you can't afford to have no children. For right now, condoms are cheaper than child support or child care. Invest in them. The second thing is, sir, you got to figure out what you want to do with your life, because I don't want you being a baby daddy. That's not worth anything. I need you to be a father. At 20 years old, you've chosen this path. I don't need you to be in and out of this child's life doing what you do. And the mama is stuck staying and holding and making sure. You need to be involved. If the child is sick, you need to know it. If she needs you to walk the floor with her at night on your shoulder, you need to do it. Don't go around claiming that you got a child and you're so proud if you're not helping to raise that child. If your child is good and successful, then don't take credit for it unless you helped. We clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't just be a baby daddy. And let me tell you something. This whole we solve our problems with violence, please understand, because I'm sure Mr. Lynch probably didn't mention this part. Any misdemeanor you commit in Clayton County from now until I leave the bench is mine. So you will be before me. And ask Mr. Lynch how many people I forget. See, you got a unique name. You got a 4th on your name. I don't get very many 4ths. So I will definitely remember you. Are we clear?
Yes, ma'am.
The last thing you want to do is come back before me with some foolishness. Are we clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I just want to make that clear. Now, did you finish high school?
No, I was going back to get my GED.
You need to go back to get your GED. In fact, I'm going to make that part of the sentence that you enroll in a GED program. So Mr. Dallas, on the first case, I'm going to accept your plea of guilty to count 1. That would be case, make sure I am. Case 2024CR09702. Calvin Dallas the 4th. On that first case, I'm going to accept your plea, sentence you to 12 months to serve 30 days, credit since the date of lockup. The balance will be probated for you to take a family violence intervention program, and you're not to have any violent or harassing contact with Erica Joyce Harper. And you will also enroll in a GED program. I will give you 30 days to enroll in the GED program and to progress through the program. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so 30 days from the time that you exit the jail, you need to be sitting in somebody's classroom for a GED program.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, second thing to run concurrent is the case 2024CR09704. To serve 18 days, credit for time served, balance will be suspended as long as you do not ride or go to any MARTA location until February 14th of 2025. You have a MARTA ban until February 13th of 2025. So midnight on February 13th of 2025 is when you can start using MARTA again. And let me tell you, you pay for what you use in this life. You pay for what you have. If you can't afford to ride MARTA, then you walk it. We clear? All right. You're going to, probation is going to sign you up. If you mess up on the family violence intervention program, they're going to make you start over. If you miss probation reports, you don't show up for probation, an arrest warrant will issue and you'll be right here back before me. And we're going to have a different conversation. We clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You can go back to the sheriff's office. All right. Y'all let me know when Ms. Tolles is here.
You will, Judge.
I'm here, Your Honor.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Tolles. I'm sorry. I tried to be on upfront about it, but they finally that the last person we have is someone who needs your assistance.
Yes, ma'am.
So, all right. So that would be Mr. John Suarez Kingsman.
And I apologize, Your Honor. I didn't realize Mr. Kingsman didn't.
That's okay. I don't think I would have recognized it either. So I think we've addressed everybody's case except Mr. Kingsman. If not, just let me know.
Bring him out, please. And Your Honor, if you could place Ms. Tolles in a breakout room with the courtroom so we can go over Mr. Kingsman's charges and the recommendation.
All right. So Ms. Tolles, I'm going to put you in the courtroom in breakout room number 1.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. All right, when you all come back, we can finish up. Thanks, everybody. Ms. Farley, thanks for stepping in for me. And I hope Ms. James is okay. Tell her I send my regards. Ms. Hamilton. Mr. Wise. All right. All right. And Ms. Arca, I'm finishing up my last case on my calendar. Ms. Manhour, good to see you. Finishing up my last case, and we will get this done as quickly as possible. I will record it so that it can be if you all need transcripts of the plea, then they'll be available, or you'll have the ability to do them. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'll be right back. All right, Mr. Arca, Ms. Spanauer, my last case involves an interpreter, so they're in the room right now speaking, but the court is going to convene the State Court of Douglas County. And I'm sitting by designation on the case where the Douglas County judge is recused. This is the Michael Wise case. Get that case number. This is case number 22ST07074. Michael Denzel Wise. Mr. Wise is represented by Mr. Alex Arca. Mr. Arca is present. Also, Ms. Spanauer is present. Ms. Spanauer is here from the State Court Solicitor's Office for DeKalb County. They are the recusal prosecutor for this case. All right, and we're here today because it is my understanding that the parties have reached an agreement as to a plea with respect to the charges against Mr. Wise. Is that correct, Mr. Arca, Ms. Spanauer?
That is correct, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so if we want to go ahead, they will appear when they're ready, but I don't want to hold you all up because y'all are here on time and ready to go. So Mr. Wise, Mr. Arca, you're ready on behalf of your client?
Yes, Judge.
Raise your right hand for me, sir. Mr. Wise, do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes.
All right, and am I clear? Mr. Arca, could you remind me of the charges?
Yes, Judge. Let me go ahead and pull up the inside. It's DUI, the first charge, and then the third charge is failure to maintain lane. The second charge is being null pros, Judge.
And that's the less safe or the per se?
That's the less safe.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Wise, you're before the court in the Douglas County State Court, case number S22ST07074. I'm Judge Tammy Long Hayward, sitting by designation in the State Court of Douglas County on behalf of the judges who were recused in this case. You're before the court for count 1, DUI per se, count 2, DUI less safe, and count 3, failure to maintain lane. You're represented by Attorney Alex Arca, who's present. The state is represented by Miss is it Laurel Spanauer?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Laurel Spanauer from the DeKalb County Solicitor General's office. At this time, Mr. Arca, what is your client plea to the offenses before the court?
Judge, he'll be pleading to count 1, DUI per se, and count 3, failure to maintain lane.
Guilty to on the failure to maintain. Okay. By entering a plea of guilty to count 1, DUI per se, count 3, failure to maintain lane, count 2 will merge. By entering that plea, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the case proven against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to present evidence and testimony on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And Mr. Wise, if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Factual basis, please, and recommendation.
Yes, Your Honor. The factual basis in this case is that on August 18th, 2022, Georgia State Patrol was patrolling on I-20 near mile marker 43 in Douglas County. At that time, the officer witnessed the defendant driving a vehicle where he failed to stay within his lane, traveling over the white fog line. At that time, a stop was conducted. The officer spoke with Mr. Wise. He manifested qualities of being under the influence, including bloodshot eyes and slurred speech, and a strong odor of alcohol coming from him. At that time, they decided to conduct an investigation into whether he was under the influence of alcohol. HGN was conducted, observing 6 out of 6 clues. The officer declined to do the other field sobriety tests because of leg and back problems that Mr. Wise professed to have. At that time, he was taken into custody for DUI. Blood was later drawn in this case, and the GBI report showed that he had a blood alcohol content of 0.272 alcohol in his blood at the time. The state's recommendation in this case is 24 months. On counts 1 and 3, he's to serve 15 days in custody. He's already served 1 day, and he'll get credit for that 1 day, so he'll have to turn in for the remaining 14 days. He is to pay a $1,000 fine plus court costs of $100. He's to complete 240 hours of community service work, to complete risk reduction course. He's to be subject to a drug and alcohol evaluation and any recommended treatment. He's to have no drugs or alcohol during his probation, and he will be subject to random screens. He is going to be required to have an interlock device in his vehicle, at least for the first 6 months of his probation. If he has no probation violations after that 6-month period, the state would waive that requirement, as this is a 2nd and 10 and not a 2nd and 5. So by law, it wouldn't be required, but the state's requiring it due to his significantly high BAC in this case. He has been served with a license suspension, which he has signed this morning. And after 12 months, if he has completed all the terms of probation, he will go to non-reporting probation.
Ms. Spanauer, I'm sorry. It's like I'm snake bit with this case. My computer glitched and it went out in the first part of your recitation. So if you could run that back for me, I apologize.
No problem. The state's recommendation, the factual basis, were you able to hear that?
No.
Okay.
It went out right as I said, factual basis and recommendation, please.
I can repeat. The factual basis in this case is that on August 18th, 2022, Georgia State Patrol were patrolling on I-20 in the area of mile marker 43 in Douglas County. At that time, they observed the defendant driving his vehicle where he failed to maintain his lane by crossing over the white fog line. A stop was conducted. At that time, the officer spoke with Mr. Wise, who manifested symptoms of being under the influence, including bloodshot, watery eyes, and slurred speech. They also smelled the odor of alcohol coming from him. At that time, they had him step out of the car. They conducted horizontal gaze nystagmus and saw 6 out of 6 clues. They also had asked him about consuming alcohol, and he did confess to having multiple shots of tequila. They did not do other field sobriety tests due to Mr. Wise's professed back and leg problems. They did do a alka-seltzer test, which tested positive, and later a blood draw was done, which reflected that Mr. Wise had a blood alcohol concentration of 0.272. The state's recommendation in this case, it is a 2nd and 10, 2nd in life DUI. His prior DUI was in 2015. The recommendation is 24 months to serve 15 days. He will get credit for the 1 day he served in Douglas County, so he will have to turn himself in for the remaining 14 days. The remaining sentence is to be on probation. He's to pay a $1,000 fine plus court costs of $100 in this case. He's to complete 240 hours of community service work to complete risk reduction program. He is to undergo a drug and alcohol evaluation and any recommended treatment. He's to consume no drugs or alcohol during his probation period and to be subject to random screens. Although not required by law, the defendant has agreed to be required to have an ignition interlock device at least for the first 6 months of his probation. If in that first 6-month period he does not have any probation violations, the state would waive that requirement, since it is not required by law, but simply based on his extraordinarily high BAC in this case. He's to complete 1 victim impact panel. He's been served with a license suspension this morning, which he has signed. The second 12 months of his 24-month sentence will go non-reporting if he completes all the terms of his probation in that first 12-month period.
All right. Mr. Arca?
Yes, Judge, that is correct. That is the offer that was extended and negotiated to us. We are accepting it. Judge, I have known Mr. Weiss for quite some time. I would say at least 6 or 7 years. He's a good guy. I never thought I'd represent him, but Judge, it's life. We all have a small setback. He's a great young man. I call him a friend. It was my pleasure to go ahead and represent him. This is not his character, Judge. I've known him too long. I think this was a minor slip up due to some personal issues that he's got going on in his life at home with his father. His father's now out back at home and going through some rehabilitation. So he's gone through some things, Judge, and I ask that you take that into consideration when accepting this plea. It is a 2nd and 10. He does have to go ahead and have the ignition and interlock device implemented into his vehicle, but he does qualify for a certificate of first conviction. And Judge, I ask that you extend that to him because he does have a single mother who he was raised by, who relies on him greatly. Father being in rehab, his mother's going to be depending on him a lot. I wouldn't ask for such courtesies to be extended, Judge, but I have known this man for 7 years. I do call him my friend, and there are not many people I would go out there and vouch for, but I am willing to vouch for Michael. I think Michael has learned his lesson, and he still has some time to serve, which his turn-in date would be no later than January 10th by 8 a.m. But Judge, I will continue to go ahead and see Michael progress after this, and I will continue to stay in contact with Michael after this. And I ask that you accept the plea as negotiated, Judge.
All right. Mr. Wise, is it my understanding that you have a job in the solicitor's office?
I used to. I actually resigned from that position back in July.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Well, I was going to suggest that you speak with somebody who you all could be a support to each other. And I'll chat that information to you and your attorney as somebody who is in a similar situation and is working through it. So that might be somebody that you can get support from. The reason I say this, Mr. Wise, is because this is twice in 10 years. Now, there are people who go their whole lives and never have this situation. You not only have had it happen twice in 10 years, but you were in a unique situation to understand the ramifications of this decision based on where you worked and your training and experience. And so what I say to you is when we find ourselves in a situation where alcohol brings us before the court, it makes us lose money, it makes us lose time, it makes us lose relationship with family and friends, then that to me, because a lot of people would deny it, but that to me means you have an alcohol problem. Most people think that that requires you to be stumbling drunk, not being able to keep a job, not being able to be supportive of your family, but that is not the case. When you have a problem with alcohol, it is something that takes you out of your character, takes you out of your workspace, makes decisions for you instead of you making competent decisions for yourself. And so when you have that, you have to be in the mind space of, I have to work extra hard to think through things and to work in a way that I keep my sobriety. You understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
I recommend AA if you're not already in it, then I would suggest you do it and you understand the benefits of it. It is not somebody like me who doesn't share that particular issue, but it is people who have struggled and who have, many of them are overcoming issues with sobriety. And so those are individuals that can help you, support you, and for whom you can be a support. But I just ask that you be mindful that when you commit an offense like this, I believe it's a choice. And it is a choice where you make your intent is to, I'm going to take care of me. This is about me. I'm dealing with something, but you don't think about all the other people on the road. And we've had too many people, whole families. With a blood alcohol like yours, you could have taken out a whole family and not even known it. And so I ask you to be mindful of, you don't want someone in a uniform walking up on somebody's porch to tell them, I regret to inform you. And you don't want somebody in a uniform walking up on your mama's porch to say, I regret to inform you. We're clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I'm going to accept your plea. I'll sentence you on count one to 12 months to 15 days, credit for 1 day. You'll serve the remaining 14 days. My understanding is you have a turn-in date that you all have agreed to in January. Is that correct?
No later than January 10th, no later than January 10th by 8 a.m., Judge.
Okay, no later than January 10th by 8 a.m. at the Douglas County Jail. The balance will be probated for you to pay a fine in the amount of $1,000. There will be fees and surcharges with that, which will be quite high because this is a DUI plea, plus $100 in court costs. You also will do 240 hours of community service, a risk reduction course. You're to have a substance abuse evaluation and any treatment that is ordered by the evaluators. You're to have no alcohol or drugs during the course of the entire probation. All of the conditions of this probation are special conditions and should be considered as such under the law. You're to have an ignition interlock device for the first 6 months. Upon no violations of probation for the first 6 months, then the second 6 months, the interlock device requirement will be suspended. You're to do one VIP, some victim impact panel, and your second 12 months will be served on count 3, 12 months to serve consecutive to count 1, where you will continue all of the conditions of probation to completion. If you have completed all of those conditions, then your second 12 months will be non-reporting. Any conditions that are not completed in the first 12 months, however, will be completed in the second 12 months. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Was that the intent of the state and the defense in this case?
Yes, Judge. I do have a quick question about the certificate of first conviction, if you will be extending it to him, given the circumstances. And if so, Judge, where can he pick it up due to the fact that we're doing this? Should he go to
So I'm not sure how Douglas County does it. We do it through our clerk's office. So you would be able to get it through the clerk's office as long as I say it's fine to have. In this case, Mr. Wise, I'm gonna trust you that you're not gonna mess up.
I was going to let you know if you wanted me to speak briefly. I was going through a lot at the time. I don't make any excuse for my actions. My cousin committed suicide in April of 2021. So from 2021 to really that day, it was just a rough time for me. I do go to AA from time to time, and I will say I'm proud to tell you that I stopped drinking. So I haven't had any alcohol since that incident.
Okay, that's good. I believe it's an ongoing thing because stressors come and go. My condolences for your cousin. Suicide seems to be so, I don't know if it's growing in, but I know that we're more aware of it. And so I feel for you in that sense because I've lost some people that way. But I just want you to be mindful of the responsibility that you have, not just to yourself, but to your family and to the community, to not be someone who could cause someone else to suffer grief.
Absolutely.
All right. So you can get the certificate of first conviction from the clerk's office. If not, just give us a call and we'll figure that part out. But from the Douglas County State Court Clerk's office, I believe. Okay. Anything else? Have I missed anything? Ms. Hamilton, is everything, have I missed anything at all?
It doesn't look like it. Everything is in the plea sheet. I've put it in the sentence order, and I've already printed the affidavit of first conviction, so he can pick that up from me.
Okay.
He can just come by and see me. He knows where I'm at.
All right. All right.
All right. And I guess.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I guess I'll send the sentence order over to you via email, and you can sign it and send it back.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then I'll get everybody a copy of it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank the clerk's office in Douglas County for coordinating this and this case, with the exception of the probation requirements, has been concluded. Thank you so much, Ms. Manauer. Thank you, Mr. Arca. If you all need anything else, you can contact my office. But at this time, the Douglas County arraignment and plea for this case is concluded.
Your Honor, this is
JAG probation. We will
Yes,
be
ma'am.
supervising Mr. Wise's case. If I
How
could
do-
just,
Yes, ma'am. How does he come see you and what do you require?
right now, we would just need a good phone number and address for him. Someone from our office will call him within the next, probably by Thursday, in order to complete the rest of his intake and give him a report day.
Okay, Mr. Wise, if you will chat, do you know how to use the chat function?
I do.
If you will chat that information to Ms. Collins. Ms. Collins, once you all have received that information, just let Mr. Wise know, and then he will be excused. And once that information has been transmitted, then he will be excused. Mr. Arca, I promise not to say anything to your client other than goodbye. You're excused at this time. To Ms. Manauer, thank you. I know you're handling some other stuff, so thank you for being here. And Ms. Hamilton, thank you so much for being present. All right. All right, thank you all. I can finally tell Chief Judge Garner that I'm done. I finished it. Okay, this is wrapped up. I think it was starting to stress him and me out. All righty. You received it, Ms. Collins?
Yes, Your Honor, we did.
All right, you're excused. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
Now back to Clayton County. We have our last case on the jail calendar. This is Mr. Kingsman, Suarez Kingsman.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Vamos a tomar nuestro último caso en la lista de causas para Clayton. Tenemos al señor Suarez Kingman.
All right, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find the, when I've been switching back and forth, I gotta find the calendar. Thanks, Ms. Val, for setting this up. All right, so this is case 2024 CR 09836.
Este es el caso 2024 CR 09836.
This is for John Suarez Kingsman.
Para el señor John Suarez Kingsman.
Mr. Suarez Kingsman, you're before the court for no license, count 1.
Señor Suarez Kingsman, usted está aquí ante el tribunal por cargos de no licencia, que es el cargo 1.
Speeding, count 2.
Manejar en exceso de velocidad, cargo 2.
And seatbelt violation, count 5.
Y infracción por no usar el cinturón de seguridad, el cargo 5.
All right. Mr. Taylor, what is your client plead to the offenses before the court?
Licenciado Taylor, ¿cómo se declara su cliente por los cargos aquí en el tribunal?
Your Honor, Mr. Kingsman pleads guilty to the count of no license, guilty to speeding, and guilty to the seatbelt violation.
Su señoría, mi cliente se declara culpable a los cargos de manejar sin licencia, de manejar en exceso de velocidad y no usar el cinturón de seguridad.
Mr. Kingsman, raise your right hand for me.
Señor Suarez Kingsman, por favor, levante la mano derecha.
You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give will be true?
¿Jura o afirma solemnemente que la declaración que va a dar aquí será la verdad? Yes.
Okay. By entering a plea, I'm sorry.
Can you ask Mr. Kingsman to speak louder for the court, please?
Señor Kingsman, por favor, si puede hablar un poco más alto para que se oiga aquí en el tribunal y en línea.
By entering a plea of guilty to counts 1, 3, and 5, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge.
Al declararse culpable a los cargos 1, 3 y 4, está renunciando al derecho de tener un juicio por jurado o por juez.
You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
Renuncia al derecho a obligar al Estado a probar su culpabilidad fuera de una duda razonable.
You give up the right to be presumed innocent.
Renuncia al derecho de la presunción de inocencia.
You give up the right to present evidence and testimony and not incriminate yourself.
Renuncia al derecho de presentar pruebas y testimonio y el derecho en contra de la autoincriminación.
And by entering this plea, a NOLO or guilty plea could have a negative effect on your immigration status if you are not a United States citizen.
Y declararse culpable, declarándose nulo o culpable podría afectar negativamente su estatus inmigratorio si no tiene la ciudadanía estadounidense.
Right. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
¿Entiende todas esas cosas, señor? The interpreter did not hear his response. May I ask for him to repeat?
Yes.
Señor, no le escuché. ¿Cómo dice? Yes.
All right. Factual basis, interpreter speed.
¿Cuáles son los hechos que fundamentan el caso?
Yes, Your Honor. On or about November the 25th of 2024, while on general patrol in the area of Terra Boulevard and North Main Street, Clayton County, Georgia.
Sí, su señoría. En o alrededor de la fecha 25 de noviembre de 2024, mientras se llevaba a cabo una patrulla general en el área de la Terra Boulevard y la North Main Street.
And while monitoring vehicle speeds using his LiDAR speed check equipment.
Y mientras monitoreaba la velocidad de los vehículos usando su equipo de radar.
With serial number 11906, officer, go ahead.
Con número de serie 11906.
Officer Chrissy, CHRISIE Wilson.
La agente Chrissy Wilson, CHRISIE.
Observed the defendant while traveling in lane number 2.
Observó al señor acusado mientras viajaba él en el carril número 2.
Traveling at an estimated visual speed of 68 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone.
Viajando a una velocidad que parecía ser, por la vista, que iba a 68 millas por hora en una zona de 45 millas.
Officer Wilson then LiDAR locked the vehicle at 66 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone.
Luego, la agente Wilson usó su radar LiDAR para registrar concretamente la velocidad del vehículo del señor acusado y registró a 66 millas en una zona de 45.
At that time, Officer Wilson then conducted a traffic stop on the defendant's vehicle.
En ese momento, la agente Wilson detuvo el vehículo del señor acusado.
The defendant stated that he did not have a driver's license and he did not have any identifying information on his person.
El acusado dijo que no tenía licencia para conducir y tampoco tenía documentos de identificación en su persona.
The defendant was also not wearing a seatbelt.
Tampoco tenía abrochado su cinturón de seguridad.
At that time, the defendant was arrested.
En ese momento fue detenido el acusado.
Those are the facts of the case.
Recommendation.
Esos son los hechos del caso. ¿Y cuál es la recomendación?
Count 1, a fine of $500. Count 2, a fine of $150. And count 5, a fine of $15.
Para el cargo 1, una multa de $500. Para el cargo 2, una multa de $150. Y para el cargo 5, una multa de $15.
How long has he been in jail?
¿Qué tiempo lleva detenido?
Approximately.
That's November 25th of 2024.
Aproximadamente desde el 25 de noviembre de 2024.
So not quite a month.
Entonces,
casi
un mes.
Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Kingsman has been in jail quite a while on this traffic offense. He is entering a guilty plea. We just ask that the fines be suspended in consideration of the time he served in custody.
Sí, ¿hay algo que quisiera decir, licenciado Taylor? Sí. Su señoría, mi cliente ha estado detenido en la cárcel por mucho tiempo por infracciones de tránsito. Solamente estamos pidiendo que usted, por favor, suspenda las multas tomando en consideración el tiempo que él ya cumplió detenido.
Okay. All right, Mr. Suarez Kingsman, I'm going to accept your plea of guilty to counts 1, 2, and 5.
Muy bien, señor Suárez Kingsman, yo acepto su declaración de culpabilidad a los cargos 1, 2 y 5.
I'm going to sentence you to $500 on count 1, credit for credit since the date of, credit for time served, suspended. On count 2, $150 suspended, credit for time served, and on count 3, $15 suspended, credit for time served.
Le impongo la condena de una multa de $500 suspendida, acreditándole el tiempo que cumplió detenido. Para el cargo 2, una multa de $150, pero la multa será suspendida en consideración del tiempo que cumplió detenido. Y para el cargo 5, una multa de $15 suspendida, tomando en consideración el tiempo que usted cumplió detenido.
All right, how old are you, sir?
¿Qué edad tiene usted, señor?
Tengo 21 años.
I'm 21.
All right, so sir, get your license, stop playing around in traffic, and make sure that this doesn't happen again, okay?
Muy bien, señor. Consigue su licencia, deja de jugar en el tránsito y asegure que esto no vuelva a pasar. ¿Está bien?
Está bien, gracias.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Muy bien, cuídese.
Ms. Scholes, can you tell Mr. Kingsman again that he should be released today between 5 and 6 p.m.?
Muy bien, señor. A usted lo deberían de dejar en libertad hoy entre las 5 y las 6 de la tarde.
Gracias.
Gracias, muchas gracias.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. Oh, wait, does he have a bond? Did somebody post a bond for him? I
¿Se
guess
pagó una
not, because he
fianza
got
por él?
arrested. Yeah, there's no bond.
Sí, no hay fianza.
All right, so we're good. Huh?
A bondsman was listed on the calendar, but I wasn't sure if.
Okay, as long as it's not a cash bond, he won't get that back, but.
Well, actually, he was listed as the bondsman.
Nombraron a él como fiador en la lista de causas.
Yeah, well, if he's listed as a bondsman, if he paid anything out of pocket, then he should get some refund of that.
Muy bien, si a él lo nombraron como el fiador y pagó algo de su propia bolsa, debería recibir de vuelta una cantidad de eso.
¿Lo comprendes? You understand?
Do you understand?
All right, thank you all.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, y'all, take care. Yes, anything you send me, I'm still signing. I know I have a ton of stuff, but I'm signing as quickly as I can.
Judge?
Thank you,
Yes.
Judge.
Could I make a request? Could me and Ms. Hagler have a quick breakout room before we close this meeting?
Not right now. I got a dental appointment.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna send you a text
if y'all want to do this, my Zoom is always available, so we can always set up a breakout room. But I just got to get to the doctor.
No, he can call.